Welcome to Wednesday Comics.
Brought to you by rootsoftheswampthing.com and Siouxpercon 2018 Return of the Con.
Hey everyone, keep turning those pages.
Welcome to Wednesday Comics. To my right, we have Namor himself. Alex, how you doing?
Hello everyone.
Nice to be
And across from me, the Incredible Hulk himself, Garrett. How you doing?
Hulk ready.
And I am Dr. Strange. My name is Marvin. We are Wednesday Comics. We're here to review the comic books for the week of 8/22/2018. Also, at the end of the show, we'll have some comic book association, a thing that we actually haven't done for a while, so I thought I'd bring it back. But first, we wanted to talk about a couple books were one was fully announced, one they're teasing, and we wanted to talk about it. One of them is spinning off of Detective Comics. We've been so hyped, not hyped's not the word,
Enamored
by Brian Hill's Detective Comics. And
Enthusiastic
about Brian Hill in general. And he has his own little series of Batman coming out now. Garrett, what is it, Batman?
It's Batman and the Outsiders, written by him and art by Dexter Soy from Red Hood and the Outlaws.
So that's why Dexter Soy is off of Red Hoods, because he's going over to Batman and the Outlaws.
You think you'll actually be able to keep up on the book?
Well, he was on Red Hood. What'd I say?
Dude, he did like 75% of the issues.
He did majority of it, but I'm also like, maybe I guess if he left long enough to be working on it, we should be fine.
Yeah.
The team's going to include who?
It's going to be Batman, Black Lightning, The Signal, Orphan, and Katana.
So basically his detective run is going to basically extend into this series.
Right, except for there won't be any Barbara or...
You don't know that she might show up.
She could. Why is she to be on the cover, man?
BG? I don't know. It's just a cover. He didn't have time to pencil her in. But that's very exciting news. I think we all agree that Brian Hill gets to mess around in the Batman universe and not just do that one arc and be like, hey, get out of here.
Yeah.
That was basically him being like, okay, it's to set up that series. And he was already given that series, which is great because Brian Hill with Michael Clark, and then he did Postal, and he did that one shot of Miles, has proven he's a great writer, and I'd like to see him get more work, and now he's going to have his own series.
And this pumps me.
Almost makes me want to get that Aphrodite series that he's writing now.
Aphrodite 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a volume, like a million.
Yeah,
that
I know.
Series
And I thought
reboots.
about that. That's just rebooting it. But
you know what's great, too, is that, at least for me, like I follow him on Twitter, and he does these video series about like writing and like how to write a comic book and like characters and stuff like that. And he definitely does. I feel like there's certain people who write those books and like superheroes, and then they write as a way to express their like for them. But then Brian Hill likes to craft and understands like what makes a good story. He's not just writing and like figuring it out. So it makes me excited to read this run because I think we learned from his detective run that he has structure to the story and there's some sort of plan. It's not just something that's like, oh, like it feels like it's not connected or it's kind of like one shots.
Wait, are you explaining how James Robinson writes?
You say James Robinson. Is he writing the next issue of Detective?
Yeah.
The next arc. And
Tomasi.
So I'm saying now I'm literally dropping that book.
I think I'm dropping Detective because Tomasi for me is hit or miss.
Yeah.
It depends. Mostly, I mean, he did some great stuff with Batman and Robin back in the day. And Superman, we loved most of his issues.
Some of the issues.
But then he eventually trailed off into a land that I decided not to follow. But I think this is going to be my replacement.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. This will be my replacement for Detective. I'm sure it'll only come out once a month.
Probably.
So
that's where all books are going back to, though, except for like Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
Well, Superman's once a month.
I
so
feel like a lot of
Batman's-
comics are going back to once a month.
Yeah, well, they're changing the price back to $3.99. It's rare for, but I mean, those New Age of Heroes are still $2.99 a piece.
Well, not even DC. I think like even Marvel, right? I think Black Panther comes out monthly now, and Captain does.
Yeah, Spider-Man comes out twice a month.
Well, Spider-Man's always... There was a time where Spider-Man came out every week.
Yeah.
Really?
Back when we used to... when it was a brain trust, when it was Mark Waid and it was Dan Slott and Joe Kelly, and like they were going weekly.
Was it Straczynski? What's his name?
No, that was before.
JMS.
But yeah, they were doing it weekly at that point. But I'm excited for that.
Oh, Dexter Soy's art, especially on that cover. Like the way he draws Batman kind of looks like Chris Burnham. Oh, looks great.
I haven't even seen that cover yet.
Really?
I'm excited.
Did I give you a look at that?
Yeah,
get you
pull
a
that baby up
taste.
while I'm pulling up this here. Marvel's Defenders which is something I really enjoyed. So the name's been taken by the Netflix series, and I think I've even said in the show at one point, was like, it's not really the Defenders. Like, that's not who the Defenders are, but okay, take the name. Because they should be the new Avengers. That's what that TV show is. And, buddy, it looks pretty good. I am looking forward to it because Red Hood, with the arc that I read, the art on that was pretty great by Dexter Soy. So
I'm excited for that Red Hood to come back.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Netflix's Defenders is really new Avengers, but I think they want to go down that route and associate it with Avengers, so they call it Defenders. And then we got a comic book series from Ryan Michael Bendis that was that team, and he took the name for that.
And it was Cockapoo.
But Defenders has always been Doctor Strange's team, and so they're going to bring it back. But it's not. I hear it's not actually an ongoing, but who cares?
I didn't even know that it was a miniseries. What's the point of bringing it back?
It is 4 one-shots that are focused on each character, and then a 5th book that's all of them together. Hulk, Namor, Silver Surfer, and Doctor Strange, hence the names. I do like those 4 characters, and I do like this team, and I think I've gotten most of this kind of series in the past. I used to get it when Terry Dotson was doing the art, and it was Matt Fraction, I believe. Yep. And so I am excited to get that, but it's Doctor Strange, and usually I'm okay with getting that, except for the one right. I actually haven't tried Mark Waid's, and I actually heard it's not bad, so I might go back and read that on Marvel Unlimited.
I just don't have an interest for the fact he's in space. And it's not that I hate space, but it's like, come on.
He's a cosmic.
I saw him. There was like aliens all over the place, and I was just like, boo.
No.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm excited for this because I'm not sure. Let me look at this art here. I don't think they announced who's. But that's the thing about this too. I don't think it doesn't say anything in here. Who's the team? Here are the here we go. Never mind. There's Immortal Hulk: The Best Defense by Al Ewing, art by Simone Demoy. Namor: The Best Defense, written by Chip Zdarsky. Art by Carlos Mango. Doctor Strange: The Best Defense, written by Jerry Dugan. Art by Greg Smallwood. That makes me excited. Greg Smallwood doing the art. Silver Surfer: The Best Defense, written and drawn by Jason Latour. We like Jason from Silver Bastards. The Defenders: The Best Defense, written by Al Ewing, art by Joe Bennett. So that's a pretty great team, and it's not like they're putting their biggest writers on the saying those are the people that are like solid. Al Ewing, Jerry Dugan.
Joe Bennett's been doing the art for the Immortal Hulk series.
Joe Bennett just did the last issue of Terrifics too, so he's been around. So I'm excited. I'll try that out. Probably.
Is Chip's writing Namor?
Yeah. Chip.
I guess I don't know Namor enough to go. Is Namor actually a funny guy? He seems like a me kind of character, or a stick in the mud.
But no, I don't think Chip Zdarsky is like Scotty Young. He not only writes comedy.
Well, I mean, in Dan Slott's Silver Surfer, he wasn't a stick in the mud kind of guy. It's kind of like
Namor?
whimsical. No, Silver Surfer.
I thought we were talking about Namor.
Oh, I thought he said Silver Surfer. No. Namor? Yeah, Namor's a stick in the mud.
Okay.
Wait a second. Is he writing Silver Surfer? Who's
That's
writing Silver Surfer? Namor. Oh, you're right. Namor. Silver Surfer's Jason Latour. We'll see how it works out. I mean,
Steel Trap.
It'd be cool to see Jason Latour on a Marvel book, though.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Jason Latour does. He's great in Southern Bastards. Didn't you write something else that we were reading? Steel Trap? Come on.
I don't know if... yeah, but what was it? I thought it was a Marvel book.
There was something that we read and was like, oh, Jason Latour. And I think we did the same thing.
I'll see if I can find it.
But I'm excited. I am disappointed that it's not like an ongoing, but maybe this is just a test of waters to see what's the interest in these characters and this team. For me, 100%. But for other people like Alex, was just saying, I don't know.
I think there's probably that wants to give it a try for the fact that it may just be a group of writers that are good, that actually care about this story that they're coming together, and they know that it's only 5 issues. First 4 are just going to be about the character itself. And then when they come together as a team, I may enjoy it, but I'm also a little weary about getting onto a 5-issue run. That what's
the point?
What's the point of this? Is this just to tell me 5 stories, or is there going to be a point that after they've set the
point
team,
is you enjoy yourself over 5 issues?
I'm about the long run. Is it going to be worth my time or not?
Covers by Ron Garney, by the way. I didn't mention that, but
ooh,
I know
that's not too bad.
I know you guys like covers, so there you go. Ron Garney. I'm excited just to see. Like Namor, Namor's been gone for a while. He was dead for a second. Okay, well, I didn't know that. I didn't read X-Men Red. We're Silver Surfer. We haven't seen him for a hot second. He was in that. What series was that?
Dan Slott?
He did Spider-Gwen.
Oh, he was in
Thanos. Jesus. I couldn't think of it for a second. I knew Hulk was in there. I knew Ghost Rider was in there. I knew he was in there.
Wolverine and the X-Men. is what Jason Latour's done. Winter Soldier.
Alex,
Oh,
who's
he did
Norrin
that Winter
Rad?
Soldier series.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Okay.
Alex, who's Norrin Rad?
Silver Surfer.
Thanks.
That's spoilers. Nobody's heard of that show.
What are you talking about?
So I'm excited. Those are characters who don't get much limelight. So I'm excited to see what.
Yeah.
And that creative team, at least I know I enjoy. So we'll see what they do.
If anything, it'll be like a fun anthology book, sort of like just to see those one shots, those characters, and then see them actually work together. I'm guessing the Defenders anniversary is coming up or something.
No, I didn't say anything. I don't know.
Yeah, I bet you when they team up, it's like the 25th
There's a
anniversary
sweet
or something.
episode.
There is a great Defenders. I'm pretty sure it's the first Defenders. Like it goes back and tells the story of Namor.
So it's not the street level characters like what they're made out to be now with Joel and Luke and
no, they're not.
Daredevil.
Get out of here.
It's I don't know Defenders
That's
other
the
than
fake
the
one.
bullshit that I see.
I tell you, that's New Avengers. They just took the name. But the first Defenders, which was Namor, Human Torch, the original Human Torch, Captain America, and
that was the Invaders.
Yeah.
Invaders. That's right. There's a great Invaders series by Ed Brubaker and Steve Epstein, I believe.
That'd be cool.
That's not the one that
fantastic.
came out at all new or whatever ridiculous in the last like 4 years, right?
No, that was a long time ago.
Okay.
It's like at least 7 years ago. 8.
You know what I still need to read is Winter Soldier. I know we're getting off
read that
topic.
yet?
I haven't read the
Oh, man.
Brubaker Winter Soldier run.
Alex Pastrello.
Pretty good.
You know what's weird? As I claim that's probably top 5 favorite movies.
I know, but-
regardless of not even comic
And
book.
you love Brubaker.
And I love Brubaker.
And you're not. Yeah, I would read that as soon as possible. So you tell everybody in your life, you tell your job you're not coming in until you read this.
Spoilers, the
everybody.
Winter Soldier
Don't go home.
Holy shit! It's the Punisher.
He's only got one arm.
Rootsoftheswampthing.com, your definitive online source for all things Swamp Thing. Holland Files number 2 is out. Garrett, how is it?
Holland File 2's was awesome. A lot of cool like images that you haven't got to see in Holland Files number 1. So definitely looking forward to finishing this bad boy.
And that's not the only thing. If you want to learn more about Swamp Thing, Alex, where would you go?
You're gonna go to rootsoftheswampthing.com.
Make sure to stay in touch at rootsofswampthing.com on Twitter at DC World Swampy, Facebook.com/Roots of the Swamp Thing. All right, let's talk about some comic books here. Royal City, number 14. This is Jeff Lemire and his cousin Jeff Lemire. They are
Ironically named.
same thing. Same person. This is the final issue of Royal City. It was originally going to be an ongoing that Jeff Lemire talks about in this issue that he could go back to indefinitely and tell stories in this city. And then about issue 10, he said he was like, no, I found an ending and this is the best ending I can give this book, so we're going to end this. And we got there. So my question is, in this issue, 1, did it work for you? And 2, do you feel like that Jeff Lemire landed the ending? Not in terms of like, did it work for you story-wise, but also did it work for you? Like, does it feel like, okay, he was right, this needed to end?
I would say 90% yes. The 10% with like Richie, I thought was like, I didn't feel like that storyline was finished. I thought that was maybe a rust because like literally at the end of last issue,
You think he's gonna commit suicide?
yeah, like something bad's gonna happen. So I feel like that this series could have lasted at least 2 more issues. At least spend an issue resolving Richie's things and then do the conclusion. I didn't think it was horrible. I was just still kind of like, oh, okay. I guess they're not even going to touch on except Richie's just in a self-help group.
The thing that I got, the Richie thing seemed weak to me, and then the what's the dad's name? Peter? No, Pat. No, that's the son. Anyway, dad and mom are in this house together, and he's moving his radios in, and she goes. So they're actually dating other people, but they're still going to be married in the same house. That seemed odd to me.
He can't go anywhere. The guy just had a stroke. You kick him out of your house?
I feel like they resolved their storyline in the
I felt like that
last
was resolved.
issue.
No. I'm not saying that there's. I'm pointing out something that just seemed weird.
I know you're heartless.
They're
You want
doing
to
it
kick a
for-
guy out.
they're
when
doing
you
it
kick
for
him
their
out.
I'm not saying they need to be kicked out, but let's have like a full house thing. Bring in those other people.
They're doing it for their family.
Well,
And she goes, at least I'll be able to see you more often. You won't be hiding in the garage. He's
Pat's
like,
gonna
I
live
really
there.
can't get down the stairs without killing myself. So
Pat's living there now.
yeah,
Yeah. He came back to Royal City, so that's where he's living.
Well, they're best friends still.
I suppose you're right. It's not just a husband and wife.
I
it's
felt
just
the
friends.
same way about Richie. And I was like, we don't see any of that. Like, who saved him? But then, so when I got to the end of this issue, I'm like, what's this issue about, really? When you think about it, right, the whole series has been about how the city basically, letting go of everything. letting go of your past, forgiving yourself, and moving on. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, let's not. I was at first be like, what, we're going to miss out the actual, what happens to him? I don't know. All of a sudden he's into self-help. But then I was like, yeah, well, I guess that's the point of this, is like, it's not really about clinging on to the past, like, and just moving on. And that's what these segments all are. They're just deciding we're done with all that happened before, just like how they tear down that factory, get rid of the old, and let's just move on and try to heal and not keep focusing on the past. And I think that's what he was trying to show with that scene, is be like, he's going on and getting self-help. It doesn't matter how much he's suffering anymore. We're past the suffering. And I think that's what, what's the kid's name? I forgot. Tommy, like what he signified in the series was like all their demons and all their past, like what they held on to. Like the thing that he couldn't get rid of the most was that he blamed himself for Tommy's death. Right. And he's got to kill himself. And then, he calls on and says, I need help. And he's trying to get somebody to come after him. And then we just cut to him at self-help. And I think that's trusting your audience enough to be like, oh, somebody helped him. And be like, okay, he's moving on.
I think it's all the other stories felt like they naturally progressed to where we are. Like Pat and his wife, they're having this conversation going, hey, I'll be back in 8 weeks. And he goes, I'll still be here. It's like, okay, that felt natural. And even the progression to her deciding to go felt natural. Mom and dad's choosing to still live together and to move them into the house and to be this friendship felt natural. When mom goes to the church and is praying and tells Tommy, going, I won't be here every day. He goes, I know, and I miss you. 1, pulled at those heartstrings. 2, felt natural, where she's like telling you that I'm not going to be here every day, but I miss you. Okay, I got that. For the Tommy thing, all I needed was for Tara and him to hug. One panel of the first part should have been, she shows up and is hugging him and going, we're here for you as a family. Can
you remind me about something? She couldn't have kids, right? Like she wanted kids and they couldn't get her and husband couldn't ever have kids. Like something's wrong with her. She couldn't have kids.
Correct.
So like that's what Tommy signified to her. He was still a kid and like that she was holding on to. And then when his kid actually shows up and she decides to like basically adopt her.
Yeah.
And that's why
she's surrogate fulfillment.
Basically. Yeah. She's like, no, I don't need you anymore. And she moves on. I'm not saying that you guys are wrong with the rich thing. I'm not even saying that I'm 100% okay with how it was done. I'm just saying I think that was the intention to be like, oh, let's just move on from that.
I think the symbolism of the ending, with each character not needing their Tommy crutch anymore, and that's tying into what you're saying. You don't need to lean on the past anymore. And the symbolism, because at the end of the episode, they go into that river basically where Tommy died and where the ghost first appeared. And
can I say, you said that the church scene pulled the heartstrings? For some reason, them all walking into the ocean and like saying, not the ocean, the lake, and saying goodbye, being like, and then watching them. For some reason, I did get choked up a little bit.
That was me too.
I don't know why. I was like,
oh, really? Buddy. See, I got creeped out because it made me think that they never brought his body out of the water, and so they were going back to his body. Not that he was going to come up, just that. Where do they go?
I think it's just like a kind of a purification thing, right?
He
like
died in the water. That's where they were born.
Yeah, so he goes back to.
So were they real?
No,
or at least for Pat, they were real.
It's like a metaphor.
Yeah, it's like.
But he even talks to him. I guess you do talk to people when they're gone.
It's your brain.
Yeah, well, if your brother died, right, I'm going to talk to him, like, especially if I was Richie, and be like, I'm sorry, like, you know what I mean, like, and he has that demon on his shoulder, not demon, but like
a memory that you just end up talking, like unconsciously talk to.
Yeah, and he was just like, so like they all moved on from it. Did the dad never had one, right? Never had a Tommy?
No, but there was one because there was 5 of them going into the lake. Oh, okay. And I think at the beginning of the first like 2 or 3 issues, when he's in the radio garage, I think there is a Tommy listening.
It's been so long I forgot. So.
No, and I forgot too, because I was like, okay, there's baby Tommy for Tara, there's the drunk Tommy with Richie, there's the one that blames him for stealing his story with Pat. Mom has the son who's the preacher, but I was like, where's this 5th kid at? Where's Peter's kid? And you see him at the end going into the water. And
he's the one that's like elementary school.
Yeah. He's the in-between baby and...
Because that's when he started pulling away from Tommy and getting obsessed with the radios.
And he stopped focusing on his family, so that's the last Tommy that he remembers clearly enough, which is depressing. But yeah, so they finally all decide to forgive each other and like move on and actually start to heal. Right, he goes to self-help. Pat decides that he's had enough about lying. He breaks off his book deal and says, "I'm going to do this on my own." And actually, the narration, Jeff Lemire. Let me tell you about this guy. Not only is the art great in this whole series, especially this issue, because like he can that one scene when they walk in the water just by looks alone, I was just like, oof, it got me. But the narration when he starts writing in this, compared to the beginning of the series when he's writing, but he's writing in Tommy's voice, right? It's different enough that I was like, it feels like somebody else is writing. I don't understand how this guy does this. It's still Jeff Lemire, but he's basically mimicking two different writing styles, so that one feels like Tommy, one feels like Pat. There's enough similarities where you know that they're brothers. I felt like they have the same kind of tone, but like when it was Pat's narration and he's actually sitting out to write for the first time, it felt to me like being like, this is Pat actually writing, and this is his writing, where before it felt like he was trying to mimic Tommy, which I was like, dude, Jeff Lemire, I don't understand. Like, this guy is top tier Jeff Lemire. And when he was writing that, even for me, I sat back and I read that narration, and it made me happy because I was like, that was I think the strongest part of this book was the script and how he set up those scenes, being like, and he's talking about how you had to just let go in what Royal City is. And by the end of the issue, for me at least, I know that one issue with Richie was the only thing being like, maybe. But I think overall, for me at least, he landed it, and then we got to the end and I read his letter. I think the letter of him describing what this series meant to him, and when he finally said it, was like, nope, I have to let go of this thing. Like, I figured out how and move on, because for him it became a thing, being like almost like a monkey on his back, being like, I gotta get rid of this thing, because he thought he wanted to live in this world for a long, long time. And then when he got to that point, he's like, no, I want to do other stuff. I want to keep moving, keep doing creative ideas, and like, I don't want to be stuck here in Royal City. And then issue 10, he's like, yeah, well, I figured out how I'm going to end this, and I'm going to do it. I thought it was a nice way to be in like Royal City for these characters who had him stuck and they had to move on. And then for Jeff Lemire writing the series, the same thing happened to him and he needed to move on. And that's what he decided to go, look, I'm going to let it go 14. And it felt, the rest of the issues were like depressing. And even though this one and that scene kind of choked me up, it did feel not refreshed, like it relieved me, being like, okay,
right. I think it was different than any of the other ones we've ever read.
There was a resolution.
They all felt like at the end of it, I felt happy for all of them, being like, they're okay, which I've never felt before. Like, I always felt bad and be like, man, these people, like, and then this one I go, they're gonna be okay. I
think when I read this book, and now that it's done, it's not. I'm not trying to compare it to Day Tripper, but that's what this book felt like to me. That every issue, it could have had a lively moment, but there's still that
sense of dread.
Dredged up thing that's pulling me down, going, remember, this is going on. It's like, oh, you know what? I really appreciated this book, and it makes me excited to see that even Jeff Lemire is like, I want to give you guys more things. This story is done. I don't think we're ever coming back to this world, which is fine. But to know that he's even like, I'm ready to move on. Let's forget this. I've got other things coming for you that I can't tell you about. But
yeah, it was a really great message, a great story. I think that's real life, that not everything can just be, sunshine and rainbows. Like, there is really hard stuff in life, and to be able to overcome that and move forward, that takes a lot of steps. Once you get there, it's worth everything. So
I feel like we were talking about one time Trillium, right? He drew the art for that, and then now we have this Royal City, and his art does feel different. Gary said it looks different, but I feel like the thing that's different mostly is his screen kind of blocking, where the way he sets up a scene, the way it looks more cinematic, and I think he's gotten better about his panel work and all that. So this book really feels like well-defined in that aspect, where Trillium kind of felt dull over him. Like, you had to kind of like lose yourself in the abstractiveness of it. Is that a word? I don't know. Who knows? But in this book, sometimes would go there, but it would be, I don't know, just the way the scene is set up was way better in this series. And I feel like the Jeff Lemire we have today is the guy who, for me, and he proved to the series, is somebody who I can trust and somebody who I know I like no matter what he does. Yeah. And a guy who has that human element that no matter what I read, if it's this or if it's a book we'll talk about in a second here, there's enough there that for me, it's just like, I don't know, I connect to everything he does. I don't know what it is, but there's something about them I was like, I feel comfortable. They're comfortable in a way that's like, I like to read it.
I think I feel when I read his books, it's not so much he phones anything in. It really is. He puts that 8-hour day in. He does the work. What it is. And in Gideon Falls, Royal City, Century, Terrifics, whatever it is, he is dedicated to that book itself. Nothing ever seems to bleed over, and he knows how to tell different genres.
Pastrana, 100% correct. That's what I'm trying to say. When I read his work, I know it feels like he respected it enough to put 100% into it, and so I can put 100% into like reading it and evaluating it. Sometimes you read a book and it feels like this guy phoned this in, and I feel like
who else are you describing
disrespected.
Right now? But Jeff say Lemire, that just think about it.
I think in everything that he does, never feels like he's like, yeah, I'm just doing this. It feels like, no, I want to do this.
Right, he's making stories worth telling and worth investing in.
And every single story, there's a piece of him. I'm learning more about Jeff Lemire. And this one especially felt like this is a guy, he wanted to tell a story that's a little bit about like what he thinks about, like his anxieties and like his thoughts. And what we got over these 14 issues is something for me that I'll want to revisit again and read and pass on. And that I think it is something I know we spoke about recommending it. It is something I think I would recommend for other people to read and be like, hey, you should read this, because it has that aspect of being like he talks about on that letter page. It's a non-genre book. Like there's no genre attached to this. It's just about people. And I think that's more welcoming for people, especially new readers, to get into. And I think if you're going to show them anything, show them somebody here who, like Alex was saying, respects the work and respects the medium and like can give you 14 issues where it is from the beginning to the end, well thought out. And every issue I felt something and I felt like, yes, like that was like I never felt like I was like, is it $3.99 right? This book? Every issue I felt like I got $3.99 worth of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
I'd give this issue a 9, and I'd actually give the overall run a 10.
I was going to say the same thing. 9 for this issue, 10 for the series. Definitely worth checking out. This is one that's got to go on your need to read list
this
for
is
sure.
10 for me. 10, 3, 2, 1. You remember that?
Got it. Let's see what we got. We've got West Coast Avengers #1, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Stefano Caselli. I started reading this issue and I immediately got pulled right into the this feels like a Hawkeye book.
Yeah.
And then we branched out to this. The recording thing kind of took me out. So in this book, there's a group of what are they, amateur reporters, or is
basically
this
they're
after
trying to
the
follow Quentin Quagmire?
Because it's okay. That's so when they showed up, it's with Choir,
right?
Okay. This is a hard book for me to really get enthralled into. I think I prefer Kelly Thompson writing a single character book. And maybe it's just the first issue.
Yeah.
Maybe later on I'll really enjoy it. This was not a hard read, but there's a lot of exposition. And I realize we're getting into this. They're even being meta about, hey, the West Coast needs Avengers. We need a team out here. It's like a little too on the nose for me. And I don't know.
I think it opened very strong because like Kelly Thompson killed it on the Hawkeye series, the Kate Bishop, and I think she writes Clint Barton really well. And it was I still really enjoyed it. I think when it got halfway, when you start introducing all the team members, it's just like, how does this team fit? Like, how does this team fit together? And that's where I kind of feel uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't know if this is, I guess, and this is the first time they're ever going to work together. You got Quentin Quagmire. You got, was it Fuse?
Fuse was her boyfriend's name.
The boyfriend.
It was the test out name.
And then we have Gwenpool, which, still not a big fan of Gwenpool, so that's already a negative going
I actually
in.
liked her in this issue, though.
She wasn't as obnoxious as she normally is.
There are certain characters that I wish would have been more pulled into this team that I think would have fit better with
Isn't
Kate.
that the point, though? That they're just a random assortment of characters? Because she said that she couldn't find anybody.
True.
And they were the only people who were available.
That's why I'm saying it's the first time they're working together, so maybe over time we'll see how they function as a unit.
But the weird thing is, like, if I'm putting together a team and I didn't ask you, Marvin, or Garrett to join my team, and then I went and pulled in random people, where if I was Kate, I would have, obviously Clint's going to be a part of the team. I kind of have to bring my boyfriend into the team. But why wouldn't you ask Laura, the Wolverine, to come in? Why wouldn't you ask Spider-Gwen to be on your team?
She said she asked everybody, and nobody came.
I don't know. She asked these people. She seems to have asked.
She said everybody. So I assume she asked everybody.
Well, she got into some weird fuckers, and I just...
One of my favorite team members, though, is America. She, like Miss America, yeah. She is amazing. I've loved her in Young Avengers. I love her in this. I think she's a great character. She's still a badass.
She was in Young Avengers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
You should read Young Avengers by Kara Gillan. And
that's a couple years old, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's got does it have Hulkling and
Hulkling,
it's got
Wiccan.
Yeah.
It's a great series, and she's in it, and she's great in that. But I felt like I had fun with this issue, and I did enjoy it. But there is a little charm and magic that her Hawkeye series had that is kind of missing, and it kind of feels like to me when I used to watch Veronica Mars, and I love that series. It had a charm and magic, and then they made a movie, and the movie feels like less so then, right? It's not the same because they're coming back to it. It feels just more. I want to say commercialized, but also this team is not really a commercialized series. But it just feels less than that series. But it doesn't feel like... I still enjoyed both those, Veronica Mars and the movie and the series. And I do enjoy this, but it also doesn't feel the same. But it's so good.
Until Veronica Mars comes back, baby.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that does now. But that's what I mean. Sometimes it feels like you just can't come home again. Maybe she should have just moved on from Kate and done something else.
What if she had a book called Hawkeyes, where it was Clint and Kate the whole time?
It sounds like Clint won't be in every issue anyways. He's just part-time. So.
Well, and maybe that's it, is that I had this great taste of what she can write as Hawkeye, and I was like, God, this is really great, because we keep ending up at the Hawkeye investigations, and I'm going, oh, that's right, she used to be a private investigator, but now she's getting back into the superhero thing. And I think what I enjoyed is her being the detective, the not very good detective who gets herself into shit.
It definitely feels like a different genre. That was detective, and this is more like an action kind of grand scale kind of book.
And so I feel like this isn't going to really meet that quota of what I'm expecting. I might give it another issue or two, but I'm already kind of on the chopping block going, do I really give a crap about what's going to go on?
I like them more. I think Sully's art a lot, and I like the way that it was laid out, but I feel like... So in Hawkeye, I think I laughed like every issue. I don't think I laughed in this issue at all.
I think I chuckled or like I smirked.
I think I smiled
about it.
But
the street sharks were fine. Or the land sharks, whatever. Yeah,
there are definitely way more jokes in this issue than there would be in a Hawkeye issue.
Yeah.
But they didn't hit.
Forced.
Yeah, they didn't really hit as much as that Hawkeye series did. But so I don't know. I'll have to give it more shots and see how it's going to do. I think I'll give the arc and see. But I do enjoy these characters. I do like Kid Omega, and I do like America Chavez, and I do like Kate. So I feel like, and I don't get many Marvel books anymore, so I feel like this is my one that I'm going to pick up. But
you're not getting Moon Knight anymore?
No, I don't get Moon Knight anymore.
Oh.
I haven't got Moon Knight for a half second.
It's going to end at 200.
But you might as well see it out to the end.
So I
That's
just
not
feel
how Marvin rolls.
I know it's not.
like-
That's like Days of World's End. Marvin doesn't give a shit about the end of it. It's like, I got 99.9% of it. Who cares?
They never has to be sad.
Sometimes if you see the cars going off the cliff, you want to jump off before he gets there.
Yeah, but I at least get to the end to look and see how everyone else is drowning.
I don't want to wait to the end and see if it has the car as a parachute.
Then when I see the news, so I didn't even get to the end of the cliff. I just go watch the news. 10 people found $1 million each survived that cliff jump. Oh shit! I didn't get to the end of the cliff.
I got to ask you, because at the end of that book we got Brodock, so that means maybe we might get some MODOK.
Oh, actually, I did laugh about that. That
did?
did make me laugh. That was the only thing that made me like, go, hi, okay. So that's why I was like, I'll check out the next book.
Is Brodock actually a character, or is he new to this book?
He's new.
MODOK.
Okay.
She was talking about MODOK.
No, I understood that Gwen worked for MODOK.
By the way, this guy's a piece of shit. He just went up to Kate and kissed her. You can't just do that.
Can he change what height he is? Or is he a giant-ish guy?
I don't know. This new person.
I know. I'm asking you. You're supposed to know everything. I guess
He's
it
got
makes
a big
sense.
head on a
MODOK's only
normal
got a
size
big
body.
Yeah,
that's what they said on the preview for the next issue too.
So actually, I like this was like a solid 8 for me.
Yeah, I'm an 8.
This is a 7.
And I will check out more. Like it made me be like if this was the first issue of a TV series, I'd be like, oh, all right, that's a good pilot. We'll see how the rest of the series goes. But maybe it's not the strongest pilot I've ever seen, but we'll see how it goes.
I just want to say one thing. I saw one character in there that I was actually excited to see. Tigra was actually pretty exciting for me.
Oh, yeah.
Then to realize she's pretty much like Cheetah from New 52. She's just a wild cat woman who's 200 feet tall.
And she was, 200 feet tall. So
it
was good. Garrett, what's up?
All right, next we got, and I'll tell you because it's a really good book. It's the 7th issue of this book. It's Terrifics number 7, written by Jeff Lemire with art by Dale Eaglesham. Right off the gate, because we'll talk about Jeff Lemire, how great a writer he is, but Eaglesham's art, incredible.
Yes.
I liked it, yep.
It looked so great.
Well-defined, kind of a classic kind of look.
I think Terrifics as a book, every issue has looked great, at least since we got past issue 3. This feels like an old time, Silver Age-ish book.
I feel like this is the only book in that is it called Dark Matter, right? That
No, New Age of Heroes.
New Age of Heroes. It's the only one in the New Age of Heroes where the idea was the artists are the stars of these books. This is the only book where I feel like it's actually great artists in every single issue. Yeah. To be fair, I'm not reading the rest of them, but those artists didn't excite me.
Sideways, Kent Rockport, man.
Yes, but okay, but this is really fun. I've read this every single time I read this issue, and I don't know what it is, but just looking at it I'm almost like, oh, Terrifics, here we go. And it's not where I feel like, oh, Terrifics, I need to read this right away. But when I get into it, I'm almost like, where's the next issue?
That's how I feel. I look at this going, oh, Terrifics. I don't know if I'm excited to read that. Then I get into it. It's like, wow, I actually really enjoyed that issue. But it never leaves a good taste to begin with.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the idea of it.
I think it's just new characters on a team you've never seen before. Not new characters, but new characters maybe working together.
I don't know.
Is Phantom Girl a new character?
She's been in the book,
she's been around.
but she hasn't been in the spotlight.
Because I knew
forever.
the other 3, but I'd never seen Phantom Girl before.
So in this issue, actually, the end of the last issue, we got introduced. We get our kind of Dr. Doomish character, right? Doc Dredd. He might be
a little too on the nose.
So he went to Doctor, not the Judge route. So Doc
Alternate
Dredd.
Earth.
He went to Tom Strong's universe and captured him. And so they were the last issue, he kind of showed up and was like, hey, I'm going to go to Tom Strong's universe and get him. They're like, okay, we're going to go find this Tom Strong. So they go to his universe to get captured by these roots and get thrown to this other universe where Tom Strong's being held. And that's where we are now.
Isn't he called the Eternal Forest or something?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
The Eternal Forest. Tom Strong is kind of like the old Silver Age, maybe even Golden Age Superman, right? He's like a Golden Age Superman. I think he's a Grant Morrison character. At least, if not created, he's the guy who people know Tom Strong because Grant Morrison. Maybe Alan Moore, one of the two.
Didn't know that.
So, I thought it was really fun. It's very Silver Agey. It is very wordy, but it feels like on purpose. Jeff Lemire's having fun being super cheesy about this, and there's a lot of, and it makes me laugh every single time that they have to explain, they can't get apart, and there's always that little editor's note, which I love because that's a Silver Age thing to be editor's note. Yeah, they can't get apart from each other, and it just feels like a snapshot into a book that would have been, in that age. But it still feels modern in a way where the sensibilities, it's not super cheesy. It's just enough for me to be cool.
It's a fun team. I think they, there's very comical moments, but there's also very serious moments. And, that's what Jeff Lemire does great. He does a lot of character development, which helps improve the story. Because with Rex Mason right now, he's lost his powers, and there's a lot of comic relief about that.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I wish I could use gas for this thing. And I was like, oh man.
Once again, though, doesn't feel like Jeff Lemire.
Nope.
If you wouldn't have told me he's writing this book, it doesn't feel like him, but it's still great.
I think that's the reason why when I get to this book, I'm not excited, and I should be excited when Jeff Lemire is literally probably the best writer out there, at least the most consistent on every book he writes.
Did you see the Plastic Man Easter egg where he texted Angel McDonough?
Yeah.
You know what made me laugh? Speaking of, by the way, Plastic Man's hilarious in this book. It makes me laugh every single issue multiple times.
So good.
I did when he was he goes up to No Morpho and he's like, oh, I liked you better when you had your powers, and he makes his face like how he used to. Even the art, to Alex's point, fantastic.
Yeah.
It just even the art makes me laugh the way he is. Oh, and then the last issue, he made himself that little car, and he's driving. Everything about it makes me laugh, and I think that's what it is. It's just fun. Yeah. It's fun superhero stuff, and I think in a world where superhero comics are kind of if we go to the opposite end, right? Tom King's is what if he's human? Let's be making more human element, and let's dig into the psychology behind Batman, right? And then this one's just they're superheroes. Let's ignore all that real quick, and it's just fun, right?
Yeah.
Question for you: when Mr. Terrific looks at things, does he only see in the shape of a T?
What do you mean?
Because that was ridiculous. There's one part where he's looking at something and sees. I think he's looking at the roots, and he goes, or the robot. And he goes, I can see the roots, and I don't know if maybe it's his
visor.
Yeah, if it must be a visor that he was looking through.
It's probably just to show that it's from his perspective.
But it made me laugh. Going, is that really how he sees everything?
So if you want to hide from him, hide underneath those two.
He can't see me. I'm to the side of that T shape.
Right. You know what? I didn't notice that. I saw it, but it's like this stupid superhero stuff from back in the day where like, he sees it in the shape of a T. That's kind of dumb.
His spheres are called T-spheres.
And that's what this series is. It's like it knows the cliches of that genre and knows the cliches of that time, and it doesn't fall into them. It winks at them. And it makes me laugh being like Alex said, that's funny, but I guarantee you, Jeff Lemire thinks that's funny, and Dale thinks that's funny, and they both were like, "Hey, let's make a CQC in shape of T." That's what they wanted done back in the day, and that's what they're doing. It's like it's a celebration of that time, but also being like, "Hey guys, like look how silly things used to be. Let's embrace it."
Well, I say the thing that's the nice thing about this book is it takes the cliches and it just kind of lets you go. I don't know. This book doesn't feel like it's so serious. And I think when I read Sideways, they are starting this new character up to be something. And it's like, it's supposed to feel like Spider-Man. But sometimes, and for me personally, I feel a little drowned, like I'm drowning when I read Sideways. I read this Terrifics book. I'm like, you know what? This stuff seems like it's, and I know it's supposed to be that Fantastic Four-esque book for DC. I love that team. I love this set. I think Jeff Lemire is a great writer. And I think every artist that he brings in really has something to contribute. And even if they don't have a specific thing they're trying to draw out, everything looks great in this book.
Do you get the impression, by the way, if we speak just about like the characters, Phantom Girl's into Plastic Man?
I didn't really get that.
I get that impression last issue. Not really this one. But
this one, she gets her nose stuck into stuff going, oh, what's wrong with you? You don't seem as cheery as you normally are. What do you mean? What do you mean? He's being kind of sassy, and then he makes this dumb face with his face.
Oh yeah, he's like, no, I'm the same silly guy. Yeah.
So I don't know if I see it so much as she likes him, but I think she's just trying to feel some connectedness to this team because she is kind of on her own.
I do like that Metamorpho and his girlfriend, like their father finances them right now.
Simon Stagg.
And when he was Metamorpho, he's like, with this freak, and then now he's a human. He's like, he's just a normal guy.
What are you going to do?
No use to me anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't fucking win. They make me laugh, and it's great. I loved it. It's a nice 9. It's never a book where, like I said, I feel like maybe that's what it is. It's never like a 10 where I'm like, man, this thing, like, it's amazing, but it's so good where it's like it's for what it is.
Good.
It's good for what it is, and that's why I think I like this book.
I'd give it a 9. This is a good book.
I think I'm at an 8 with it. I think I really enjoyed the last issue before this one, but this one was still really good. Ready to find out more about, Dr. Dread and like kind of, I thought it was kind of cool. We got to see Phantom Girl, like those roots made like were tangible wrapping around her. So I'm like, oh, is there something from the Phantom universe that's doing this? So
I call him D2. You think he goes by D2?
Probably not.
D2, no.
Black Hammer, Age of Doom, #4, Jeff Lemire once again. The guy is a workhorse. And Dean Ornstrom.
Image Comics, Dark Horse Comics, Marvel Comics, DC Comics.
How does that guy have that many books coming out in 1 week?
I'm going to link you to this article and you read how this guy's work ethic is. It's just fantastic. But he's on this book. It is 5 issues. Going to be 5 issues long, right? So how long was the other one, Black Hammer?
It was 13.
It was 13.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like this is like...
You're thinking of Century is 5 issues long.
Okay, whatever. Well,
it could be shorter. I don't know.
Let me look it up here.
But he's been taking breaks from time to time because issue 2 came out and then 3 didn't come out for like 2 months. Because he does all those side books like Quantum, Dr. Starr, Sherlock Holmes, and Sherlock Frankenstein.
This issue was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, things escalated so quickly for when Takiwaki, I said it right this time.
Yep, he did.
By the way, did we know Takiwaki was a girl?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
I must have missed that.
When they do the...
You I think, are even the one who told him that she was a girl.
Oh, okay.
Not me. Why would I be told? No, in issue 5, she's his assistant.
Yeah.
And when they go, you're creepy.
Damn it, every time.
When, was it Colonel Weird?
Yeah, Colonel Weird.
Yeah, when they do Colonel Weird's origin story, they talk about how him and her, like Batman and Robin, basically. Him. Yeah. But that's cool that like Gale gave Talkie-Walkie enough wiring to be able to tell, like, it's Madame Dragonfly, she betrayed us. And then like Golden Gale goes like supernova, like pissed, or like Super Saiyan, like literally just goes, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Burst right through the barn.
This might actually be just ongoing now. It's just on their website. It's ongoing. There's no.
I always thought this series should be ongoing. Like, I don't know why.
I think the first volume was maybe a test to see if people would enjoy this. This may be one of my favorite books out there right now.
Yeah.
And so we get the revelation that Dragonfly like was having them in this kind of world. And was everybody's fake, nobody's real. They've been in basically an alien, you know, when they go into like stasis,
Stasis of some kind, right?
And now they finally woke up. He goes, "Okay, we're gonna show you what really happened." They woke him up, and they're on their spaceship, and it's like, what the fuck?
Didn't that blow your freaking
that
mind?
twist? I was like, well, holy shit! Like,
I didn't see that coming a million miles away.
So what happened to Black Hammer? What happened to her dad?
We'll see. I guess maybe he never even went there. I guess he would have went there.
And said that he was there, and then he died. So quote unquote dies, but maybe he's not really dead.
Maybe he just woke up before everybody else.
Either he woke up, or she, because obviously she's got enough power. She's not in stasis, and neither is Colonel Weird.
But then, how did she get on that ship?
I assume
she was in the other universe. Trying to figure out where he went.
So it makes me wonder if
she was orchestrating it the whole time.
Yeah,
I'm sure she just leaked into their minds.
And saying, I'm guessing she built this world for them to share.
No, I mean his daughter.
Oh.
Yeah,
like how does she get there?
That makes sense. I was like, why did you ask about Madame Weird?
She was looking for her dad, and then
so where's she at?
And all of a sudden she showed up there and was like, "Whoa, here I am!" But like, how did she get there to the ship?
I don't think she's on the ship,
or was it all just? Oh, she's not on the ship.
I don't think she's on the ship.
Oh, okay, she just did that to make them
feel like
okay, we have some hope, and not give up.
Like Lucy's actually looking for them, but I don't think Lucy made it.
In that last panel, did we see her or not? Let me look it up.
But she's there. She has to be.
Maybe there's an astral plane because we can see that Lucy at least traveled from hell to this other world to like Storytime Land. Maybe she found somebody else in another book. Maybe there's
some rules.
This world just blew up.
Well,
in one issue,
maybe when she's traveling through those doorways, that's actually traveling through mindscapes. Like, because if Madame Dragonfly kind of conjured up this reality where Lucy Weber would be there too. I mean, it's all speculation until we find out more.
Yeah. Oh, Alex is right. She's not in that ship.
She's not in that ship.
Nope.
So if
there's only 4 pods, and Gale wakes up,
Barbie,
Abe wakes up, and Barbie, and the other one they don't show. It's already open.
Which would be her dad.
Yeah.
Which would be Joe.
So maybe he's going to show up and be like, "Yeah, guys, I'm okay."
What if Lucy is actually under from Sherlock Frankenstein?
That's what I was wondering. If
she'll wake up, yeah, because like he has been trying to help her find the Black Hammer gang, or at least find her dad.
Or maybe he has some sort of mechanism that he like linked their brains together, and that's why she was in that world, and she got lost in that kind of.
Like he built the things that they're sitting in now.
Yeah,
knows that Madame Dragonfly has them,
and then
he could ooze her into it.
She was lost in the system. That's why she was trying to figure out. We're
gonna find out. None of the shit we just said is real.
But you know what? Actually, Alex has a good point. This book that we thought was his town. And remember when it moved on to Age of Doom, we're like, we want to focus on this town. This is mystery of this town, and then to realize. Doesn't fucking matter because the town's not real. It blows up to like this huge story that so many possibilities that we're talking about right now. This series becomes a book where I loved before, but now it's like a mystery, like more than so before. And now it's like, so many questions.
Did you notice, like, okay, so when Abe puts on the costume for his fake girlfriend in the beginning of the issue, and then you're on that last page, he's still young. He's still young and in shape and everything. So I think that their minds age them too, because he looks in great condition when he's laying in that pod. Like no beard, doesn't look like out of shape or anything. So I feel like time just moved on in their minds.
Oh yeah, you're right. He is young.
Yeah. So like that's awesome. Like
Barbie too.
We're gonna see them in their prime. Like back to, but you know what's gonna suck is like. They had to go through this horrible thing. They were finding resolutions kind of like Royal City, except Gale, obviously. She was obsessive. Just to have that, like, Abe got his girlfriend back, whatever. Just to have that rug pulled from him, and it was all fake this whole time.
But I like that Abe even questions it, going, you're having good. So the thing with the Holy Man that went really well. Oh yeah, it did. When he's talking to Barbie, and he goes, "Doesn't that seem too on the nose for things to all of a sudden for everybody to go great?"
You know what?
Yeah.
And I like that Gale questions what's going on, and never liked Madame Dragonfly to begin with. And with, like you said, putting the red and blue wires together long enough for shit, you got me saying it wrong. Talkie-walkie to come back going, Dragonfly screwed you over.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. And for Abe to be like, this just doesn't seem to add up. Here, I'm going to be the stick in the mud. Maybe we both shouldn't be getting laid and having good lives. There's something weird going on.
And for Dragonfly throughout this whole series has always been like on the outskirts and like doing her own thing, right? And they've never like, I always thought it was weird. They've never paid attention that much to her, and it was like, yeah, she's doing her own thing, but because she was the one in charge of everything, right? So it kind of feels like spoilers, by the way. Spoilers for Sixth Sense. You know, when you get to the end, you're like, holy shit, that's why the whole time, because she's never been involved in their shenanigans because it's not real. Like, and she knows that, so she's been over there because that's like the controls for the ship and where she's at, and like she's been in her thing, just making sure to keep this whole thing going.
Yep, I see what you're saying. That instead of her wanting to branch out and make friends and have all this junk,
she never involved herself in the
she
town
doesn't
at
give
all.
a shit.
Right.
She knows it's not
She
real,
knows it's
so
not
why
real.
fake it?
I wonder if, like, maybe instead of, you know, what was the team called? Like, what's the Black Hammer team called? I can't remember what they're like. It's not the Justice League, obviously.
No, but
No, it's something similar.
Hull of Hammers is where he's from.
I know, but I mean, like, the whole team working together.
I
I
don't
can't
remember
remember what
what
they're
it is.
called. But when they disappear, what if, the Earth's actually destroyed?
Which would make sense for
While they're
Age
in
of Doom,
space.
is that the world is
And that's what
destroyed.
happened. They decided to flee, and maybe that's why she needed to put him in stasis, because
They would have fought her.
Or
Yeah.
evil took over that world, and so they took them out of the world to, like, basically keep them safe. And I don't know. We need more.
you know what, though? There's two possibilities here we're not even thinking about. Or not two possibilities. There's two things we're not thinking about. One, Lucy's the one who kind of blows it up, right? So why... This is not something that Dragonfly made fake in this world, because why would she want to blow it up? Like her all shenanigans going on. So obviously Lucy has to be some sort of either their own like brains took over and made Lucy and made them like figure it out, or Lucy, Dr. Frankenstein, put her in this, and then I have to go back and see when she showed up. Did Dragonfly go, "Who's this? What's she doing here?"
Yeah, she wasn't happy when Lucy showed up.
So maybe she knew like she was infiltrating like their kind of matrix, right?
Well, that's what he and I were talking about. I think while you're looking up stuff, is that we think I could see Shoreline Frankenstein either injecting her into the system of somehow, and maybe that's what the doors are. Is that he got her in the first time, and then she got lost, and then ended up finding her way back in. And I'm wondering, did Shoreline Frankenstein make the spaceship or make the pods that they're sleeping in that he would know how to get somebody in?
And the guy kept saying, "This is the waiting room."
Yeah.
And maybe you wait for the places to load, and then you go into them. It is kind of like the Matrix. You like plug into that world, and you go, "Oh, here I am."
Maybe we'll get our Black Hammer universe Brainiac.
But also, there's one possibility we have to think of, that this ship and all this, it's not real. That Dragonfly is tricking them again, being like, "Oh, like."
tricking them out of their reality.
Yeah.
I didn't
could
think of it
be.
that way.
Good call.
So we'll see, though. But it does definitely open up a bunch of questions, and it makes this book jump from something I was really loving, but now it's like loving and also like really intrigued, being like, what's going on?
Yeah, now we get to kind of like make up our own story and see what happens next, and that's exciting as a comic book reader, not having the storyline be so predictable. Like now, there's a million possibilities.
But once again, Jeff Lemire does not feel like Jeff Lemire writing
Yeah.
this book. It feels like somebody totally different. It actually feels really Matt Kintish. And now we have this book that is like really mysterious. Before it was like a superhero book, and we were talking about it breaks down like superhero archetypes, and now it's like also a mystery, and it makes it so much interesting. And this issue was a 10 for me.
Yes,
10.
10.
That twist,
100%.
man.
Pick
I
of
was
the
just
week.
like,
I know.
what are you talking about?
I turned that page and I really wanted to message you guys and be like, "You guys read Black Hammer yet?" And I literally read it an hour after I picked up books, and I was like, "No way." But
I think that this specific issue makes the whole series even that much stronger. And I think part of it is that we're finding Jeff Lemire really is that superb and that well thought out a writer that it really intrigues me to, blind buy anything he puts out.
It makes me want to go back and read the whole series, to be like looking for
yeah,
Yeah.
like little clues.
kind of look at it through that lens and be like, okay, if this isn't real, like, and what Dragonfly is doing, like I said, The Sixth Sense. The second time you watch that movie, it's a totally different movie because you're like, yeah, they can't see him. That's why they're reacting that way. Or like there's a scene, especially in Sixth Sense, when Haley Joel Osment comes home and his mom's sitting there and Bruce Willis is sitting there and they're just not talking. They're just sitting there and they both look at him when he comes in and he kind of looks scared and he like runs to the kitchen or his room, forgot which one. And his mom's like, hey, how was school? And like tries to talk to him. And you're like, dude, why were they just sitting there in silence? Like, were they just mid-conversation and there was a silence and then he came home? But then you realize they're sitting there in silence because that guy's not there. He's a ghost. Saying like this, I want to see and look and see Dragonfly. Like, why is she doing these things? And the Colonel, like, his little going between, maybe he like is lost in between, the same thing like Lucy could go between these worlds. And that's what he's doing. Because it's kind of similar, right? He gets stuck in that kind of mid-world and he can go different places, different times. And maybe that's just because since it's not real, that's why he's jumping between like different times and he's seen stuff. So we don't know exactly 100% what's going on. Obviously, Colonel and Dragonfly are involved, or like the two who know the most. And we'll see next issue when they grill them. And I'm excited for that next issue.
Oh, it's gonna be so good.
Yeah. That's one that'll probably have to be on the list to read for us to talk about. You know what else was on our list this week? We had Black Panther #3, written by Ta-Nehisi Coates and Daniel Acuna on art. I was telling the guys before we did this show, so West Coast Avengers was kind of a long, wordy book for me to read. I read this book, I suppose, in 5 minutes. Just I couldn't help but turn these pages faster.
Yeah, the art tells a lot of the story.
Holy crap, that book looks so good. And it's way different than I was expecting from a Black Panther book. I expected to take place in Wakanda, which it technically does take place in Wakanda. It's just not the Wakanda in Africa. It's up on a moon base.
I mean, this is so much fun, and I think the fun thing for us is like, that is T'Challa. He doesn't remember who he is, and they were even talking about in this issue that the Emperor stole his memories, and they're trying to fetch his memories, and he's going to realize that he's T'Challa, like King of Wakanda. Man, it's literally like it just reminds me so much of Star Wars because it's just kind of like that hierarchy where you don't really know your destiny and things like that. And then the character at the end, whatever his name is, what was it? Basically Darth Vader.
Manifold.
Yeah, Manifold. So, man, this intergalactic book, it's crazy to me that this is Black Panther. Like, it's so nuts.
I chuckled at one part where they're in the hall of Black Panther and they're giving you the names of things, and T'Challa literally means to stab in the right place or something
with a knife.
The one who puts the knife where it belongs.
That one, it made me laugh out loud. I was like, you know what? That is excellent.
It's the Daniel Acuna art and coloring in this issue is fantastic. Like even though it took me quick, like Alex said, you could read it very quickly. I would sit here and just like look at it, like the whole page, and it's fantastic. The coloring, especially, like some coloring, like it's really a lot of purples, a lot of oranges, very nice dark tones, and the shadow work and everything. It's fantastic. The action scenes are great. Like Garrett was saying, it's so refreshing and like it feels right and also like different at the same time, right? Black Panther in space, but it's the intergalactic empire of Wakanda instead of being Wakanda on Earth. There's some things here that I love that Coates does, like the recap page is actual panels and like telling you what's happened in the last issue rather than just being words like it usually is in a Marvel book. And then we cut to we just go right into the story.
Before you can go there that far, I love that little prophecy quote that he says. It's like a king who becomes a king who is a hero who became a slave, and I think it's like a slave who's destined to be a hero once more or something. Yeah. Like, love that line. Every time I read that, I'm like, that's so fucking cool and gets me amped for the rest of the story.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And like, that's all you really have to know about the story to get into it. Like, if you've never read Black Panther before, you can jump on in this series and just start reading it. But Garrett was saying, like, he lost his memories, right? But he's still the same person underneath. Yeah. And I think that's what's cool about this is, like, you're seeing him still react in a way we would normally see T'Challa react. But he doesn't know who he is. But it's cool also being like, yeah, he's still going out there fighting and doing the right thing, even though he's not, like Alex said, his name means the one who puts a knife where it belongs. And that's what he is. He's the prophecy. He's the one true T'Challa. And it doesn't matter whether or not he remembers that he's supposed to be that. He is that because that's who he is. And it's fantastic.
So I got a question for you, and I may be out of place. What's the possibility that when T'Challa eventually comes into finding his memories, that it undoes this being in space? What if, I don't know what Manifold's power is other than it seems to be semi-teleportation or kind of like what the Spot can do. He can put his fist where it needs to be. What if when T'Challa finds his memories, we undo whatever the big boss has done and we're back in Wakanda on Earth?
I think we will be, because I think so. So where if T'Challa's in space, who do you think's on Earth?
Well, that's what my question is.
I bet Shuri's on Earth ruling the kingdom while he's in space right now. So I think eventually, yes, we'll get done with this space epic and get back down to Earth, because he's going to be like once he gets his memories back, he's going to take care of the space Wakanda. Then he's going to be like, I need to get back to my Wakanda. I need to get back to my Earth and make sure that my kingdom is still in place and my people are taken care of. So I think they're like, this should not be a book that should just be done once this part is done. But I think this is going to be at least the next year is being in space.
Oh, which is by all means, keep doing what you're doing. It's great. But I'm again, looking towards the end game. I can't just enjoy the book for what it is. I'm wanting to know, so when are we going to hit back onto Earth? What is going on Earth? Because I know there's a Shuri book that's going to be coming out.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so is that going to take place at the same time? Is that literally its own storyline just because of the movie?
I think it's going to be concurrent.
Okay.
I think while he's in space.
Manifold, by the way, I'm not sure if they're just using the name or if it's the same character, but he was in Jonathan Hickman's Avengers series, and he can teleport between time and space. So I'm not sure if maybe this Manifold has different abilities, but that's what he would
this
be.
One
there.
seems like a dick bag.
He would be their guy to transport them.
Yeah.
He was a transporter. So
I bet he's gonna
I was thinking Voodoo. I was thinking the Voodoo guy.
Dr. Voodoo. I mean, Brother Voodoo.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna make T'Challa question himself. I bet he's gonna say something that he knows about his past if he can travel through time and space.
Well, they worked together before. I mean, if it's the same person.
Yeah.
On that Avengers series, they worked together. He's the one. He was there when him and Namor weren't getting along, Black Panther, and we see that he stabbed him when they're saying his name. So this is fantastic, the art and the story, and it is one of my favorite Marvel books right now.
What if Manifold, and I know we're doing a lot of prophesizing here, what if he's not the bad guy? What if he's the one trying to bring T'Challa back?
He might be.
And in T'Challa's, confused mind, it seems like he's the bad guy.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
Well, that's why Manifold's restraining him because he knows how powerful T'Challa is. He's probably like, "Whoa, bro, give me 2 seconds.
I don't want
to
to get
talk
the shit
to you."
kicked out of me.
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't think this was. Many people don't understand how strong Black Panther is.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Because in Jonathan Hickman's New Avengers series, he fights Black Dwarf, who in the movies, I don't think they call him Black Dwarf. They call him something else.
Colin's son or something. It's something weird.
In that series, right? Who fights him in the movie Infinity War?
Hulk, but it's not Hulk. It's just Bruce in the suit.
Okay, so but in the comics, Black Panther fights him and beats him by himself. So that's how strong this guy is, and I don't think people don't understand it. He can go toe to toe with a Hulk-like character and hold his own. So that's what you're saying. He's restraining him because he knows how powerful T'Challa is, and that's why he's always been one of my favorite characters. It's so. You see him and you go, okay, this guy's just a Batman-esque kind of Black Panther, but it's no, this guy is strong, fast. He knows strategy, and he's the perfect companion piece to Captain America for me, and I love when they team up. So to see him in this series and see him in this kind of worlds out of his element in a way is great. Because for me, it's this is refreshing. And I'll welcome it when it goes back to Wakanda, and I want to go back and read the first volume of this before it changed over until I get renumbered again.
Yeah.
To see what was going on there. And I did get Black Panther in the past. He's also been a character that I've enjoyed, but there's something about this. Like I said, feels refreshing, but feels right.
I think it's a huge character study. That's why it's so good. It's like a hero's journey.
Yeah.
Not a lot of books do that anymore. It's like a hero in situations. This is following a hero down a path to remember who they are. And like that's what's happening in Captain America. That's why that's so strong. Same with Hulk. There's just so many books right now that are successful because they're focusing on the hero's journey, not just like, okay, Hulk in the middle of like 60,000 people.
You're right. If he has no memories, we can't focus on the history of who he used to be. We're just focusing on who he is.
Right.
And that's what this is about. And same thing with Captain and Hulk. They're focusing on like, what's the core of this character?
Well, when those Empire thugs show up at a space, just are kind of popping up in space, and Black Panther or T'Challa tells Nakia, goes, "Those are bad guys." And Nakia's like, "No, those are our ships." Nope, they're not. And you start watching these bad guys flying out of the spaceship, and he just immediately jumps to a gun and just starts shooting them. It's like, okay, that's the way you need to write this character. He is a leader. He is a born king. He knows shit. And it's not just, oh, that could be this. It's no, literally, I don't take shit. I'm going to go to my gun and I will pay for the consequences later because he's not a king now. He is just a soldier, right?
But he just knew, by the way, those ships were coming in.
Yep.
That's not friendly.
I mean, tactically speaking, he knows that's not how we would have done this. This is not the right way. They enter. They're not us.
And that's what makes this series great. Those little moments like that.
Right.
And Daniel Acuna's art is perfect for that. And I hope when it goes back to Wakanda, like Acuna's on this book for a long time. Fantastic. And I read this book and I feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Energetic about where the series is going, and hoping more of a Marvel series follow Hulk and Captain America and Black Panther in this kind of vein, going back to basics on these characters.
I feel like Ta-Nehisi Coates is killing me inside because I'm constantly waiting for those next issues. Because like I read them and you go through it, like you just binge read them, and then you're like, I want more, and then you got to wait, and I
saw somebody complaining online that he doesn't know how to write comic books, and I'm like, because he's just before he used to write for the Atlantic and just be like a newspaper writer, and I was like, dude, have you been reading Captain America, Black Panther, dude? Like, no.
I will admit, the first time when he took over Black Panther, when you and I had first gotten on that first issue, okay, I'll admit
it was a little wordy.
It was a little wordy. Wasn't a fan.
But now he's like, as you get more experience, like Tom King with Batman, you get more experience the more you write.
But and that's the thing, is that he's like Omega Man. When Tom King wrote that, not a fan of it. Marvin probably would love the shit out of that book. But now I read other things by Tom King, and every time it's amazing. I think this Captain and Black Panther, I hope that Ta-Nehisi Coates stays on these books for the foreseeable future, or at least gets to tell the story that he wants to tell, because I can't see my stack without the Captain or Black Panther.
Has he won any Eisners yet for any of his works?
Eisners, I'm not sure. I know he's
won like book awards and things. But
by the way, here's what I'm reading right now: Omega Man and Coyotes. So.
What's the one left?
Omega Man. You're talking about Omega Man?
Oh, really?
There we go.
Wow.
I started reading it.
And Coyotes?
Yeah.
Damn, son.
Omega Man I am enjoying so far. So.
Black Panther,
10.
I give it 10.
10.
So
yeah,
good.
10.
Like Alex said, that one, like small moments like that one he was talking about, when I read it, I was just like, come on. Like, this is my boy. Get out of there.
Well, the thing is that it's not, and not to rag on the Rick Remender writing style, but it's not telling me it's not explaining it to me. It's going, that's not right. It's letting the character be the character.
Yeah.
And not having to think out loud.
Yeah, there's no narration, right? He doesn't narrate stuff in his head. It's just like, let's just do it.
Blood in my mouth tastes like copper.
Wakanda forever. Alec Garrett.
All right. Last book of the night, we got Justice League Dark #2, written by James Tynion IV, with art by Alvaro Eduardo Martinez Bueno and Raul Fernandez. I thought issue 2 was way better than issue 1. Still a little wordy, but at least the wording made sense. Like, to me, I mean, it wasn't a lot of exposition. I think it was more like we open with Diana coming across like a ritual on Themyscira. That was pretty horrifying.
A weird, like, orgy coven combination to bring out a even scarier demon witch, is what it looked like.
A shaman or something. I don't know.
By the way, when Garrett's telling you that this issue was better, I literally gave everybody a thumbs up and realized no one could see it.
Yep. We got to see a lot more supernatural, or at least the paranormal, magic-esque world of the DC universe. You know, we got a little bit more Constantine. We got one of my favorite characters, Dr. Fate. It was sort of Dr. Fate.
It was Naboo. It was literally Dr. Fate, but not the embodied.
Not Kent Nelson.
Yeah.
I was wondering for a second, because we saw in Rebirth, right? There's Kent and his little protege. And then we get this now where I was like, oh, where's that kid at? And then that's where he was. He was inside the vase.
In a jar.
Yep.
He was in the jar. It was a little, there was a little, too many,
Words? Bubbles?
yeah.
A lot of exposition.
But I liked it.
What's the word you're looking for?
No, not necessarily dialogue, just like the narration boxes. There's a lot of that going on, but I did enjoy it. It never feels like, at least to me, and I never felt the first issue, but I know you guys did. It never felt like to me like it was a chore reading that, but it is a lot.
Yeah.
Like it is like
There's sometimes I was turning the page and I was like, oh man.
Again, the same issue. I had the same problem. I turned the page and like, there's a lot of white on this book where there should be a little more just letting the story flow.
I thought the second half had way better flow with like art telling the story.
I think when Wonder Woman got a hold of Zatanna going, what the shit is this?
Yeah.
I will pound your face in, and then Swamp Thing's like, whoa, let's all be friends here.
Right. The one thing about Swamp Thing that I had to question in this book when he's like, watch out, Wonder Woman. I'm like, Swamp Thing? Would he talk like that? Like,
why you wouldn't say watch out?
Swamp Thing?
To me, Swamp Thing seems to be less of a friend. He seems to be more of an entity that's there. And least of my concerns, like Doctor Strange's in Avengers Infinity War, is like, I'm not here to help you guys. We just have the same end game. I don't care if you guys get the shit kicked out of you or not. I'm here to do my thing.
I did like, there was a moment where Wonder Woman got kind of angry, and I was like, who's this Wonder Woman that's like angry? I don't know this Diana. But then she apologized. She was like, hey, I got a little hot-headed. I'm sorry. And I was like, okay, that's her. Like, she like lost it for a second. She's like, I apologize. I'm a little worked up.
I think she's frustrated because she believes that she has ties to the magical world, and everyone keeps saying, you're not magical. You have nothing to do with this. Like, we don't need you, all this. And she's like sick of it. She's like, regardless if you don't like me or not, I'm involved with this, so deal with it. Like, that's me. That's what I'm
because of that tree, right?
Well, but then she tells them that I even came to you guys for help, and you guys turned me down. Now you show up and you need help. Well, fuck you.
Yeah.
So
she's like, because I'm a good person.
Yeah,
I'm still going to
help you.
What did you think of what's the doctor's name?
Langstrom?
Yeah.
Fate? I don't know what doctor you're talking about.
When at the beginning of the book when he's like full man bat. Like,
dude. He looked great.
When he goes through that guy and like shreds him in half.
He looked great. In the beginning when we open up where they're fighting the undead, I was like, okay.
Detective Chip was like, has anybody got some anti-man bat
serum
laying around? Yeah, serum.
So he must be kind of like a Banish thing. At that point in time, he can be human, Kurt Langstrom. He can be man bat, who's cute and like it's short. And then he can freak out and become man bat.
Ferocious man.
And he was human for most of this issue. And I find that great too because it is kind of Hulkish, like being like he can lose himself in it, but he could just be Bruce. And this one he could just be
Kurt.
Kirk Langstrom.
Was it Kirk? K-R-K? Yeah. K-I-R-K?
Correct.
And Detective Chip I thought was great in this issue.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that he figured out the first issue. He was like, I got this fucking sword. And then the second issue, he's like, I was saying it was pretty manual. I thought they would do most of the work, but I guess you have to swing this thing.
They say Bobo a lot. Usually you don't hear his first name. They say it so much in this issue. I was like, yes.
I still enjoyed it. And like, I don't think we talked about Upside Down Man so far, the last panel.
Scary.
Of seeing him being like, oh, buddy, here we go. Here's Upside Down Man. Like Alex mentioned in the Gauntlet. Kind of a dumb name, but you can see him, you're like, okay, I'm not going to question that guy's name.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Actually, after I saw it, and that the next issue's title was like something Upside Down Man, it's like, you know what? Fuck you, Nat.
Kill that Nat. It's been flying around the whole time. He is terrifying. And I don't think he has eyes, which is even more scary, is that he's just a man with a kind of what those piranha plants are in Mario, where all it is just a mouth, no eyes. Scary.
He reminded me of, you ever seen Pan's Labyrinth?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't make the reference then.
Nope.
Kind of Slenderman a little bit.
Well, in Pan's Labyrinth, she goes into this thing and there's a creature that has no eyes and just has a big mouth, but he has the eyes on his fingers.
Or it looks like the little House of Horrors thing.
Yeah. So I thought it was good. There's some things that maybe could be changed about it to make it better, but I think it's going to just take time to like get the story out of the way. And I think that's the main part, is that there's so much, especially coming off of Metal. Was it Metal? Yeah. No, Justice League No Justice.
Justice League No Justice. That
set this up, that I feel like James Tynion is like has to go through that first before he can actually do the book he wants to. And so once we get past that, I think it'll be great. So it's just right now, it's an 8 for me.
You know what my favorite part of this issue was, though? The conversation between Constantine and Swamp Thing.
Yes, I like that.
That
too.
was so strong.
Oh, and the art in that panel when Swamp Thing is sitting in front of the Tree of Wonder, that was great.
Where it's the big blown up head of him and him having the conversation. It's good, and I will agree that the dialogue actually seemed well written. It actually did seem like some of these characters, for the most part, you're right. The Swamp Thing going, "Hey, over here, look out!" And you're like, that doesn't
I feel
seem
like
right.
he'd be like, "Watch for danger, not watch out." Like, I don't think that's. I don't know. It's just weird to me.
But this book was, I would give an 8. Strong, better than issue 1. I have high hopes for it, but I'm also weary about what we're getting into.
Yeah, I give it an 8 as well. It was. I feel like I'm getting drawn into this universe a little bit more, like at least the Magic universe, and it's fun seeing characters that you're not used to seeing as much, and that's exciting.
Justice League Dark number 2. We have Black Panther number 3. Black Hammer. It's a Black Panther number 3, right?
Black Panther number 3.
Black Hammer Age of Doom number 4. And we have
Terrifics
number 7. We have
West Coast Avengers
number 1. And we have Royal City number 14. Pick us up where you get your comic books. 14! Where you get your comic books and support your local comic book shop. And read comics. Share it with a friend. Supercon 2018, Return of the Con, September 28th, 29th, and 30th. Tickets on sale at supercon.com. Alex, we're going to be there doing a show, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to be there on the 28th doing a live show for everyone. What's it going to be called? Wednesday Comics After Dark.
And not only us are going to be there, a lot of people are going to be there. Phil Hester, right, Garrett?
Yes, Phil Hester, the current artist of Batman Beyond. He's done other projects like Shipwreck. He's done some Swamp Thing that you may or may not have seen in some Holland Files that came out recently.
Not only Phil, Science Steve, Shay Fontana, Tony Fleece, Travis Nye, Midwest, all doing a show the 28th. They'll be doing a show that night. That's the main attraction that night. Jill Thompson, Ryan Cody, John Allen, and more. Tom Wynn. Going to be at supercon.com. Make sure there's a lot going on that weekend. I would say, if I am going to tell you any kind of advice, buy that weekend pass. You won't regret it. You got MAP concert that night also. You got Wednesday Comics After Dark. And then you got a whole weekend of stuff to do, people to see. Supercon.com for more information. With today, like I said at the beginning of the episode, we're talking about Comic Book Association. If you haven't done it for a second, so let me reiterate what this is. I will say something. We will discuss it. It's kind of just like a quick being like this. Let's talk about it for a second. Okay, next thing. Just a quick like association. I mean, like, what do you think about this?
I must be thinking flashbacks where you say something and then we answer right away.
No, we get more than 3 seconds to say 7 things.
You'll get more than 3 seconds. But it is also
that'd be a ridiculous concept if we had to say more than one thing.
It's just small topics.
Hopefully that never happens to us.
It's small topics really that couldn't be a full segment, but they're enough that we can put them together and make a full segment out of them. That's what Comic Book
So we can be friends and talk about it.
You know what's weird about that, Nat? Is that we do the show and I close that door, so he sits in here every fucking week, and I can't.
Oh my god! It's like you don't see him, you relax, then he comes on your face, and then you're like, I can't fucking relax. And then you looking for him again, gone.
It's one of those things where I wish bugs were a little bit bigger so I can destroy them and make them sad.
Well, elongated man arms, you'd be able to reach out and grab.
You mean like the size
him.
of a dog, and then you take him 1-on-1.
Bring it! I'd kill that gnat.
The first thing on our Comic Book Association is something that Garrett will have a lot to say, and I think Alex also.
Superman.
Brian Michael Bendis. How do you think about Brian Michael Bendis? What he's doing so far in DC? Was it worth it? Right? Him coming over?
I don't think it was worth ending Gleason and Tomasi storyline, but like we talked about before, there was a lot like. I could tell Tomasi and Gleason were really upset having to leave their run, but they weren't doing anything with it up until the point when Bendis came on. So it's like it needed some new blood. But I do enjoy his Action Comics. So great. Superman, piece of shit. Anything to do with that Rogol Zar character is so forced, so awful, not fun, not interesting. And it's okay to have like a very great writer coming over to DC, but I don't think it was a smart publishing tactic to be like, oh guys, it's Brian Michael Bendis, he's changed this entire he changed the entire Marvel universe, like he's the best that's ever been. And it's I feel like, that's yes, it was a good play against Marvel to take one of their best writers, but I mean he hasn't been writing great. I
know. I wanted to give you the chance to finish your thought, but I was also like, but he really hasn't been, and that's what I think. I agree with you. When I read these issues of DC and it's look at Pearl or look at whatever book he's writing, that it's his Brian Michael Bendis universe-esque book. It's like, who gives a shit? He hasn't proven himself to me as a good writer in the last year when he's writing Defenders. Yes, Marquez made that book look great. I don't think your writing did us any favors. Man of Steel was not overly enjoyable. It literally was cockapoo. I think Flash is just telling us straight up what we're going to be reading. I hear you say Action Comics is great, and it makes me want to read it, but I'm not a Superman fan enough to be like, okay, I'm sold to get it. It makes me happy to hear you say Superman's shit.
Well, when the whole concept of Rebirth, when it started 2 years ago, right, in May, it's all about getting these characters back to their core values, like who they are. And yes, you have to put them through trials, but like Bendis is like, oh, that family aspect about Superman that you love? It's fucking gone. Like, let's get rid of this because you guys like it. Let's do all this. Let's change things in a way that's like, boom, I'm Bendis. Like, I'm here. Yeah. Would you like this?
And I think that's maybe you hit it right on the nose, is that he's specifically changing things just to get a rise out of people, but you're not doing it for a story reason. You're just doing it for a shock, an awe value. When in all I just want a good story. That's the whole point of getting this book.
We're supposed to say quick thoughts, but one last thing. You don't come in to writing Superman for the first time ever and have your new bad guy blow up the bottled city of Kandor that's been in comics since the fucking 80s. You can't. That's such bullshit.
I thought you were okay with that.
It was okay. Like, I didn't think it was a huge deal because they haven't touched that storyline in ages. But the more I sat on it and thought about it, I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean you just end the storyline completely for no fucking reason.
But my only concern is that you bring that up, destroying this city that has been around for decades. Now what are you going to... I realize you can always undo things. You can always get the time stone and bring things back, but that's not how it should have been. There should have been another option to go, okay...
Time stone?
Yeah, I know, I'm ruining... I'm bringing in Marvel things, but I'm just saying you can undo time. You can fly around the world a bazillion times to fix it. But it shouldn't be that way. There should have been something else to raise everybody's blood and be like, okay, look what I did.
Yeah.
And not
I
not
think
to
it would have
that
made more
big
sense
of a scale.
if Rogolzar kidnapped Lois and John, forced them to be slaves on a distant planet or something. Something like that where kept his family away and at least justified, not John being like, oh, I want to go with my crazy grandpa that tried to murder half the planet. It doesn't make any sense.
I heard that Pearl was good, not great. So that's
that what?
Pearl, number 1.
Mike, I'm not getting any of those miniseries that they're doing.
Well, to me, that's just a money grab. Yeah. And so it's to give people that chance to be like, look at how great Brian Michael Bendis is. It's like, I don't need that.
I think there was just a lot of amping for him coming in. And yes, Action Comics, I've only read 2 issues of it, and it's pretty great. But Superman leaves such a bad taste in my mouth. It's just not enjoyable. And I know that's when you guys are like, why do you get that book? I'm like, because I love Superman. Can't help myself. But someday maybe it'll be good.
do think that, for me at least, Brian Michael Bendis, he was a big deal. Brian Michael Bendis was Marvel. For a long time, he was the guy. And that's why it was such a big deal for him to come over to DC. But to have him do a whole takeover on a character, basically, and claim real estate, this guy's mine. And I guarantee you in those creative meetings about the character and about his world, he's the person who gets to say most of what happens. It is strange because he's not really that kind of guy anymore. He's not really the number 1 writer. And so I do feel like if he just would have been like, hey, I just want to be on Action. And then I'll work with whoever's on Superman and we'll kind of make something out of it. Then it would have been fine. But just the way that they hyped him, he's taking over and kick people off of books that were on books. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. And Action Comics 1000, that 12 pages sucked. The art was good, but the story didn't make any sense.
That's what I mean. The whole implementation of Brian Michael Bendis into DC was not good from step 1, and then now we're into his books, and you're saying that 50% of his work is good and 50% is not great. And but nothing excites me as somebody who doesn't normally get those books to be like, I got to check that book out. It's not enough. Image Comics, is it still blind buy for you guys, or something now? I remember there was a time when Image, you're like, oh, new Image number 1, I got to get that. And now it's kind of just like, there's too much, I think.
I've gotten more apt to maybe test a book, but I really am trying to be depending on what the team is. If it's Scotty Young book, he's got a new one coming out, Boldy Wars or something?
Yeah,
I want to give that a try. I like Scotty Young. I like the way he tells a story. but I tried Stellar. I knew going into Stellar, probably not the right choice for me. I got issue 1, read it, was like, wow, that was boring as shit. Bounty Hunters galore, doesn't matter if the book isn't good. So I'm willing to give a book a try, but I'm also not willing to stay on a book if I know it's not for me. Oblivion Song, I wanted to like it, it's not for me. I think Die. It may look good, the action might be fun, but you know what? I'm finding out some books really just aren't for me anymore.
And that's the thing too. It's like, yeah, right when we Marvin was always into those independent books, and me and Alex started out more in superhero books. And when we started going to Image, we were like, new Image #1, we're on it. But now I've become more like picky and choosy about which Image books that I get onto, because sometimes, like you said, Al, with Die, like the story's just kind of plain. It's like it's not something new.
Yeah,
it's just.
I think that's what it is.
I mean, yeah,
it used to be something that there'd be like one new one every couple of months, or not even, maybe like every 3 months. And that one was like, man, this is way different than anything I've written, and they're all refreshing. They're all unique ideas. But I feel like lately there's like 3 or 4 a month. And they're always like, yeah, I've seen this before.
It's getting oversaturated with recycled ideas.
I feel like their process for putting out books now is like their submission process is kind of just like, oh yeah, it's more volume than like holding back on stuff and being like, oh yeah, that's good. We want that. We want that. It's more just like, oh yeah, go ahead. Especially with like Kirkman, they're just like, hey, do whatever you want.
Well, and it's one of those things like, okay, Saga's taken that year or however long of a break they choose to take. I feel like that book has earned its break. I feel like that book always has good content. And so if the team needs to take a break to collect themselves and to have a little bit of life, I know I'm going to get a better book out of it. Where, like you've said, it's oversaturated. We're just getting, anybody can write a book and put it out on Image now. It seems to be less of a top tier storytelling. And it's if you got a story, even if it's shit, go ahead and put it on an Image line. That I don't know. Image felt like it was a high class beer, a very expensive glass of wine. I am satisfied and I'm getting something I don't normally get. Where now I'm just getting shit sometimes. I'm getting that cheap Keystone beer, and I don't want to pay.
Well, I think
for
that's
that
what
anymore.
I'm saying. Like once it's a book like the Saga, they allow them to do something creatively, and allow them to be like, if they need to take a year break, take a year break. But the process in which I can see something and be like, I can trust it and be like, that's going to be good, has gone from something where it used to be like, I know that Image, be like, yep, that's going to be good because it's an Image book, and now it's just like, whoa, well, hold on, who's on that book? What's it about?
What's the creative team? What's the story? If neither of those interest you, adios.
Before it used to be, there was a time where it's just like, boom, I'm getting it. It's Image. All right, I'm going to get it.
Yep.
And when they would announce at Image Expo, they would announce their like next year books. I'd be like, I'm getting all of them. Mm-hmm. But now it's just like, by the way, half of them don't even come out. They announce these books and they don't come out. But also now it's like, do I? And sometimes you're like, maybe I want to because I'll get 2 books and they won't come out anymore. Mm-hmm. So I just think that...
Are you looking at Jonathan Hickman for that one?
What's up? Black Monday Murders, where you at? I just feel that Image Comics has gone for something that was like... It's kind of like Apple for some reason. Like back in the day, Apple was like, yes, they put out good stuff, and it's just like, if it's Apple, of course, get it. And then now they've become so popular and so commercialized that it's just like... The different association with it now is just like, they're not always putting out the greatest stuff. Price of comics. What do you think of the price of comics? I think it's been edging up. Not even only the $3.99 or the $2.99. Now they go twice a month to try to get $8 out of you instead of the $4. But also with the annuals, and Marvel sometimes does like a $5.99 issue. The price of comics. Do you think it has to at some point stop here, or is it going to keep trying to creep up?
If they try to go above 4 as a regular, I mean that's a serious issue because. Especially what's really been pissing me off is those Marvel #1s. Like they've been $5.99 for each of them, and it's like you get about 30 pages of the normal story and then 10 pages of just like annual crap. And it's like that's what annuals are for. Like you shouldn't penalize a new reader coming in or your loyal readers by jacking up the price because it's like it's a new #1. Like how many volumes? Like Marvel has a statistic. How many times have they rebooted one series over and over and over again? Like 50 million times. Like they probably got volumes almost reaching double digits because for how many times they reboot a story. I will see it with like, bigger issues. It'll be $5. But like I was getting that Sword Daughter and issue 1 was $5. Got issue 2 was $5. I'm like, but it's not. It's like 40 pages.
Yeah.
Like that should be $4. It used to be 10 pages for $1. You know, and I get that the market isn't the best for comics, and you got to make profit. Well, do what Marvel does: give you cheap ass quality stock paper and all that, and then raise the price to $3.99 for all your books, and you're still going to make profit. But it's when you're just trying to cash in on a cow, you know, that it's just dumb. Like I think I love the campaign. It was about 2008-9 where it was like draw the line at $2.99. At least DC was doing that, and obviously that wasn't sustainable forever because you can't compete with everybody else then. But like that was a time where it was like I was excited to read comics and it wasn't expensive to try new ones. It was $3, but $4 that's pretty close to $5, and $5 adds up when you multiply that by a lot of comics.
I think price of comics is just one of those things that unfortunately it's probably just going to progress for the fact that getting comic books is not a super popular thing. Actually, I think it's getting to be popular. When I talk to people about it, going, "Oh yeah, I get comic books on a weekly basis." Oh, you do? You know, how do I get into it? It's hard to sell people going, "Yeah, you should get into this book," because guess what? You're going to be paying out your arm. You're going to be giving your arm up just to buy 10 books because they are expensive. Eventually it's going to end up being one of those things we're going to end up having to wait. We're going to end up reading these collected books. You're going to be getting the hooplas because you can't support having a life, a family, and I know, Marvin, I see that smile on your face.
Because you call it the hooplas.
The hoopla. Hey, you know what? It's not just Batman. It's the man. Batman.
Go back to your senior home, old man, with the hooplas, the Facebooks, the MySpaces.
Okay, my home, my family,
he doesn't even know how to
and
get
my old people home let me out to come do this show. So be nice to me. They can take it right back.
You know something? Actually, since you bring that up, Alex, I wanted to segment
the hoopla.
We're gonna do a little. This ties into the price of comics. So you talk about how it costs so much, and most of it is cost on materials, right? And I believe also now there was a tariff put on paper, and I think so they're worried that the price of comics is going to go up because it's going to cost more to make them. And so I was thinking about it, and I put down here digital, but I don't just mean digital comics in today's age. Do you ever think there's a time, and do you buy into this? Instead of worrying about paying per comic, if Marvel had something where it's like $20 a month, and it's like a Netflix series, like, or Netflix service where it's like we'll just put out books and they are current, like, and so they worry less about quantity and they worry about quality, and they put out a book like, let's say Captain comes out once a month, Black Panther, you know how it does now, but instead they're all just digital, they don't print them anymore. Is that something that the market can go towards, or people so stuck in paper that they're never gonna, or did they find a new market? Did they say screw the old people, we're gonna go this way because we can't do it in paper anymore because it's going to be too expensive and nobody's going to buy it anymore if we keep doing the old thing?
I think if it came down to it and there were going to be no paper books printed, then I probably would get onto the digital realm. But I also think at that point in time, then books would be getting cut because I'm still going to be paying $2.99 a book or $3.99
That's what I say.
book.
They would have to change the way that it's
and say, like, maybe you're right. $20 a month, I get all the Marvel books that are current that I want. Sure, but the whole point of my getting comic books is the collector-esque. No offense. Yes, you can collect, quote unquote, collect things digitally, but they're not mine. It's just the rights to read a book. Yeah. I've just paid the right to read Black Panther #3 that I also feel like I would just end up dropping books like left or right.
Well, that's what I mean. It would be like a Netflix service, right? You don't own those Netflix series. You just pay to be able to stream them.
Yeah.
So if you had the ability to pay $20 and get every current comic and stay on board, they would cut their cost, right? They could put out less books and it'd be less strain on artists and writers because it doesn't matter if Captain America comes out once a month because they're not. The only reason it comes out twice a month is to make it so they can get more money in that month.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They get you $20 no matter what happens. And also, does it increase your ability to be like, let's try that book. Let's try this. Like, let's try this, I'm trying to think of like America Chavez, if she had a series, right? If they brought back her series, let me try that. I like her as a character rather than be like, no, $3.99, I can't do it.
But I just feel I don't think it's sustainable to do it that way. Only for the fact that what would be the point? What would be the incentive of doing like monthly comics anymore for like writers, for creative teams. Like you almost would have to change the market completely and kind of do it like Brubaker and Phillips are doing, where they're going to start releasing trades all at once. You know, maybe quarterly.
No, yeah, I know they would have to make bigger stories.
Yeah,
yes, definitely.
right, exactly. And it's like the single issue would go away. I mean, you would get.
They definitely would have to change it, but I mean, if they even kept it the same, the incentive is if you pay $20, you need to keep paying per month to get the next part of the story. Like that's the reason why to keep coming back and getting issue 2, issue 3, issue 4. That's why you pay $20 a month.
You know, it's already difficult to find the time to read paper books. What's the point of them having it all on digital stuff? Why don't just make TV shows, make cartoons of these shows instead of even having to read it online?
It's a different medium, baby.
I don't know. At that point in time, if you're going to get rid of the paper copies, thousands of people are going to lose their jobs because the comic book store can't just hold itself open.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, here's the thing, though. You either keep doing what you keep doing, and like you were saying, it's going to keep increasing in price. The cost of paper keeps going up. The cost of printing keeps going up. The cost of ink keeps going up. And eventually, like Gary was saying, the books are normally
going to be $6 a book.
It's going to be $6 a book one day. Do they say, oh, yeah, we're going to make it $6? Well, now there's 2 in here.
So many gnats in here. Fighting them off like
those are the 2. Is it $6 a month, and that's what they're saying? We're going to make it $6 a month, or they say we got to change something here?
I think at that point in time, it's something else needs to be changing because you can't just expect. I mean, you're gonna lose so many readers like Garrett, myself.
But would they lose you anyways at $6?
Well, no, but I'm just saying that if at that point in time something else needs to change, don't be putting out books just for quantity reasons. Put out a good book. So you make a Black Panther book, you make a Batman book, you actually make a Captain Black Panther combination. Maybe it's one issue is they share the title, but you put out 3 issues at one time. You make it a quarterly book. So there's got to be changes of some kind, but you can't be putting out, here's 100 titles from Marvel in a month.
Yeah, but do they become the Sears of the printing medium because they decide being like, no, we've done it this way forever. Let's just change the like.
Hey, Sears is going out of business.
That's what I mean. So the comic book industry, they either choose to, even if they change it that way, like Sears tried different things, but they tried the same thing in their own avenue. Rather than saying, no, people want to go to Amazon because it's more convenient. They can go online, they don't have to go to the store, right? They change the way that people shop. Do they change the way people read comics and, digest that medium? Or do they decide being like, oh, like you said, let's go quarterly. Do people still go to the shop for a quarterly book then?
Yeah.
I think you just have to skew your schedule so that every week there's something worth picking up.
But if you look at numbers, the amount of people picking up print comics keeps going down every month. And the people who buy digitally keeps going up.
Because there's a lot of hermits that don't want to leave their house.
No, because like you said, when you ask somebody new and you go, you got to go weekly to the shop and buy a book, rather than just going on their phone and being like, oh, let me pick up that issue.
But for me, it's one of those things that I still want. I would still order something online. I would still go to whatever site I may choose to go to. I still want to get that book. And for me,
that's a collector aspect.
At least going to the shop, though, one, it does get me out of the house. It gives me a chance to actually network. Because we live on our phones as it is, we live on our computers as it is. It's nice to get outside and see that big giant yellow orb thing that lives in the sky that gives the world life.
Yeah, but do you live on your phone because that's the way the world is now? And so does this medium die because it doesn't want to change?
Like the way I grew up, I have parents who are older who, you want to make friends. Your friends can't just live on the computer. My friends aren't just Roger from Dead Hand. I actually have. I'm Dave.
I know what you're saying, but you also have to think like, am I the way that I think? Is that just old school? And I know you're old school. Like
I think the way you could structure it is
like this podcast, right?
Yeah.
This is different because radio is dying, so people want to consume it, and they want different shows that are like in their avenue, right? They want stuff that's specific. They want stuff that they can download when they want to download it, listen to when they want to listen to it, right? You're on a medium that is killing a different medium, and that's what I'm saying. Like the radio, people don't listen to the radio anymore. They want to listen to what they want to listen to when they want to listen to it. Do they want to read comic books when they want to be midnight and be like, hey, let me check out Black Panther? Or do they want to wait, the shop doesn't open until 11 tomorrow. I guess I got to go to 11. Like, do they have to change the way that they're presenting their medium to new readers, or do they die with the old readers because they don't want to change?
But the thing is that I'm not even a radio listener anymore because who gives a shit? It plays the same crap.
See, that's what I mean, though.
But I don't listen to podcasts either. I mean, I'm a hypocrite. I do a show with you guys.
Huh? What did you listen to your own music?
I don't even listen to music half the time.
What, do you sit in silence?
Dude, I listen to music all
He is
day.
an old man.
But guys, okay, my job, I listen to the same 28 songs a day. I don't want to hear music anymore. I just want to hear the birds chirp who've got original songs to sing.
All right, but I mean, like a sane person, what would they listen?
Okay, I'm just telling you that you want to pick a fight because you live as a hermit. Listen to your shows online. I don't need
That's
to do
why
that.
the iPods became popular because people decided no more they don't want to buy CDs. They don't want to go to the store and buy CDs. That's why Tower Records went out of business. That's why FYE went out of business. Best Buy or Circuit City went out of business. People don't want to go to a store anymore and pick up a CD. They want to go online and say, I like this song. Let me download this song. Let me go to Spotify and listen to the song.
I think with digital, though, what's super frustrating for me is, let's say I go in the shop. I'm paying $4 for a book. Why is that same book that's not being printed cost $4 fucking
You know why, though?
dollars?
Because the old way, like Alex talking about this, the comic book shops do not want, because they're trying to be friendly with this comic book shop because they still go through that avenue. If they weren't around anymore, it definitely would go down in price.
Yeah.
At this point, maybe not because they're so used to paying for the same price.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the reason why, because they're trying to match. But if they did what music did, and music's like 99 cents for a song, rather than picking up a CD for however much a CD would have been at that time, $15, or sometimes it was like almost $20, right? At that point, that's what killed that industry because they decided they want to play fair with. They were like, we're going to do our own thing. Apple was like, we're going to do 99 cents. Amazon, everybody was like 99 cents. And the same thing with books. Like Amazon was like, hey, it's cheaper here if you want to read it. Kindle came out, right?
Yeah.
It's cheaper to buy like there. That's what I'm saying. Like
the comic companies, they should be maybe giving something to the shops that are like incentivizing people to go in those shops. So give us like $3 an issue on digital, okay? Now you go into the shop, it's $4, but you get this blank perk.
Well, you definitely see that the comic book industry wants to go digital, right? DC's having a streaming service, Marvel has a streaming service. I think Image is looking into it. We had Hoopla. Like, there's all these avenues in which are coming out that you can consume digitally. The only thing that's holding them back is the way things were. And do we move on to the way things will be?
You lose people by changing things like that.
Do you gain people, though, right?
Yes and no. If they weren't already a part of it, they may not hop on. Yes, it's more convenient. Doesn't mean they're still going to like it.
I know a million people.
You know a million people? Literally, you know a million people?
I know.
Here, I want you to name them.
A great assortment of people.
Oh, okay.
That if it was $20 and you could keep up with comics monthly, they would do it rather than going out and spending $5 per issue and only having 4 books.
I think, though, as you can see, the big two still haven't figured out how to get new readers on.
No,
books.
I mean, they don't. That's what I'm saying. They don't know what to do. That's the reason why they're spinning their wheels. Meanwhile, every other industry knows what to do and they're moving on. And I think it's this industry. I think the movie industry is kind of struggling with it right now, and they're going through that metamorphosis. But comic books have to do it, or they're either going to die as they were, or live and change. They have to. I mean, every other industry has gone through it. Comic books is just that one
sometimes
thing.
you just gotta decide to give it up because
that's what I mean.
It may not. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think unfortunately there's still too many people who want the paper that either you're gonna lose the. I mean, for me, no offense, they would end up losing me.
Well, adios.
Well, I'm just saying that's what it ended up being. This show would be you two doing it because I'm not going to go out of my way to. Yes, to me, it's out of my way. Yes, it's on my phone. Yes, I could just look it up and read it. That's great. But that's not the way I'd want to go about it.
I think that maybe there could be a thing where you buy it digitally, but then a print copy could get sent. That could be an extra incentive. You want that collector's item that maybe be an extra $1 or $2. You get the copy sent to you as well. Maybe free shipping 30 days later or whatever, and put it on the cheap Marvel stock. And then you're like, I don't know.
It still costs them more money to do that.
True.
For the 3 people out in the world who literally want to collect it, you, me, and maybe your brother, they're not going to be like, yeah, that's a good cost-effective thing. Let's make this ship book.
But you're making $2 more profit.
Yeah.
They'd rather lose old Ernest and his record collection to move on to digital and become what Apple became, the first $1 trillion company.
And then people that think that Margot Robbie
Amazon,
is the real Harley Quinn.
And Amazon moving on to become $1 billion company, then become Boardham's Books and close down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. That's all I think about that when every month things come out showing this, and I just wonder when's the breaking point. When's enough for and I think it's going to be the price of comics when it becomes like $6, $7, and when people are like, nope, I'm done. and then they're gonna be like, oh, we got to change.
But then you've got people like Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan, who they set the limit at this $2.99 was this price of the book. For Saga, it's always $2.99. Hasn't faltered.
Saga's been $2.99 each issue.
Yeah. And so that's by their choice. They want to give readers what they want, and they're not going to.
What the fuck happened to Walking Dead?
And they're not.
Still don't know that mystery.
But again, they're in it for the money. Where I believe Brian K. Vaughan, Fiona Staples, and I keep looking at the issue 54 that's sitting on this couch, going. Them as a team, they're doing it for the readers. They're doing it for themselves because they enjoy what they're doing, because they enjoy what enjoyment their readers get out of it. It's not about the money. Yes, the money is great, but they do it because they like it.
The next thing I was going to bring up here, we haven't really talked about this, and I think the why is not really necessary for us to talk about because it's a rabbit hole we can get caught up in. And
you mean these haven't been rabbit holes we've been getting into lately?
But I think outside the show, it's a lot of controversy around this. But I just wanted to talk about it because there's actually something that happened because of this. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is on hold now. They're not making it anymore, at least for the time being. Right? And it was supposed to go in production already and start. Yeah. It was supposed to come out next year. So it's not coming out anymore. Because what happened, James Gunn's no longer on the movie and they're just going to decide to hold it back and see what they want to do. Does that, you think, in the future when we get to this Marvel Cinematic Universe and years from now we look back, is it going to be something where it was a moment in which we look back and say, yeah, that was a bad choice and it kind of messed up the universe, or are they going to be okay? Is that a good choice, you think?
I think there's a way to fix it. I don't think Guardians is the only option they have. So I don't think in the long run we're going to be like, wow, I can't believe they didn't do that. I think as a person who enjoys both the first and second movie, I would like to see the third come out, but I don't want to see the third come out without James Gunn. I think that unfortunately James Gunn made those movies what they are. Yes, you could still have Bradley Cooper be Rocket. You could still have Drax and the other three characters. But I believe that James Gunn's vision and the way he tells the story, the way he directs it, right?
Yeah.
And he wrote it. So I think it's these movies tied well into the world, into their universe, that if you don't have James Gunn at the helm, I think you're going to lack something. And if you're going to bring someone else to direct a movie that he had written specifically with these visions in mind, I think you're going to lose. You're going to lose in the outcome.
I think that's a major part of it. It was they were going to so use his script, and then they were like, okay, we're going to rewrite his script. And I think now they decided not to use the script at all. And so they have to rewrite a whole movie basically, and they don't know what to do. So that's why they put it on hold rather than put out a movie that is two movies in one. Yeah, right. And changed, you can tell. So I do think it's I don't like the decision that happened, but I do think that the best course of action maybe is to be let's wait on that and figure out what we're going to do.
Right. I mean, we live in such a sensitive age, dredging up 10 years into the past after he's already made 2 movies, that's bullshit. I think statute limitations, people change over time, and, I saw that online, Rose, not Rosie O'Donnell, what's her face? Roseanne got pissed because everyone was like, oh, James Gunn, that was 10 years ago. And it's well, yeah, Roseanne, you literally did it last week. So that's a huge difference. But, I think, at least with Disney, it's a family company. They're just going to save face. And that's the whole reason, it wasn't obviously Kevin, how do you say his last name?
Who?
Kevin
Feige.
It wasn't his choice. It was Alan Horn, right? Isn't he the director of Disney?
Yeah, Kevin Feige even asked him to reinstate James Gunn.
And Alan Horn's just nope, I don't want any smudging on my company.
Not the head of Marvel Studios, Kevin, and it wasn't the head of Walt Disney Pictures, and not even Disney Entertainment. The head of Walt Disney, the company,
the president, right?
Said, you're fired.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get much room for them to be can he come back? That's what he said. Hey, are you sure? And he was like, yes. He's like, okay. So there's definitely no way he ever comes back. It is unfortunate. Like Alex said, I think he was the heart of those movies, and it's could definitely be a different movie. But I feel like it is the best course of action if you're gonna do that. And unfortunately, we're at a time now where we have the puzzle pieces in place to be this has happened already. Now we have to decide whether or not we stop and reevaluate.
Well, I know, Dave Bautista is pissed. He doesn't even he wants to get out of his contract. He said he's not even going to try. He's contracted to. I think you'd have to take a director that he's worked with in that universe. So I think, honestly, the Russo brothers should take over Guardians 3. Because, if you don't have your actors invested, it's just going to be miserable for everybody.
What about the director of Thor Ragnarok?
I know, but I don't think Batista's worked. I mean, I'm thinking of the cast characters. They support James Gunn so much, but they've also worked with the Russo brothers. And I think if you're there with somebody you trust, like that'll be like you'll feel the acting passion from them. But I think if you throw another Marvel director in there that they've never worked with, I don't think it's going to work.
I still don't think that's quite right. I think
there's no other alternate path. You can't have James Gunn.
No. But I get that. But I'm also going with, okay, if I worked for Marvin to begin with, and he and I were super close, and I worked with you on the side, I'm thinking Infinity War wise, yes, Russo brothers worked with Batista, but to me, he was still falling under James Gunn, who was a part of that movie.
And I believe also,
he was lending his abilities to the Russo brothers, still under the guidance of James Gunn. I don't think I would choose to exclusively work with you, Garrett, if Marvin got fired.
Well, they're not going to have a choice. They're contracted, though.
I believe also that James Gunn was a consultant in Infinity War, and he was like there to like help write and direct while they were doing it. So
he may be contracted, but then I would also then argue I was contracted to do a Guardians 3 movie that is not going to happen under the guidance of James Gunn. So I mean, there's a loophole around it, and if he doesn't want to do it, he can still show up for work and be like, well, fuck this shit. I'm going to half-ass this. So
I think
I would just assume be done with the Guardians movies altogether. You can do a different team. Bring in Nova, bring in whomever you need to bring in, have Captain Marvel, and you can give them the name Guardians.
Well, that was the thing. It was that they said that Guardians 3 was very important for the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they were going to do that. Bring in Nova, bring in all these characters to like reintroduce the Cosmic more and like kind of in Eternals and like all this to like spin off basically a new segment of Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so that's the reason why this movie is crucial. Now they put it on hold rather than have it come out because they don't know how to do that anymore.
Well, I think that's, and maybe as a viewer, we might feel that something is missing. They're making a reference to something we haven't been, privy to yet. But I don't think don't bring in a Guardians 3 if you can't deliver. And I think if Batista's really like, I'm not doing this movie without James Gunn, then you need to cut that contract and be null and void.
Wow. Disney they're not going to be like, nah, I don't want to make money. They're going to be
but there's other ways to make money then.
Job. Huh?
There's other ways to make money because
Disney will never make that choice.
There's one thing I have to say about this, and we can move on to the final topic. They got to bring in the clutch, Ron Howard.
Oh my god, my heart just sank a little bit.
The last topic I have here, and not even have it in the way I want to talk about it, but our boy Jeff Lemire, right?
Not even in the way I want to talk about.
How
do you want to talk about sexually?
And all these, I had Brian Cometas, like his intro to DC, like I had to wait.
Oh, I see. You didn't have a transition to it
as a blanket statement. Jeff Lemire. Actually, I do have a way. So Jeff Lemire has been a writer that's been consistent, like Alex said earlier today, and has been a guy that we call the year Jeff Lemire was last year, and this year it's the year Jeff Lemire 2, hashtag top tier Lemire, right? And we have possibly next year Jeff Lemire Legacy. And I just wonder, like, and when I said, I'll send you guys this article so you can read about his work ethic, but is it a way that's sustainable? You think this guy keeps doing this work, or do you think like we're in the golden age and eventually maybe a year or two from now we'll be like, what happened to Jeff Lemire, guys?
No, because he's been in comics for so long, and you can just tell that he's passionate about it. Now, there's one thing to be like, when I think about Bendis versus Lemire, let's say in this instance, like, or Scott Snyder even. Scott Snyder and Bendis are all like flashy. They're like, oh, look at this cool thing. Look at this cool thing. Where Jeff Lemire's like, I don't want to show you this cool thing. I want to give you a great story that makes you appreciate the work, not just be like, ooh, Superman's got his underwear back. Ooh, Lois and John are gone. You know, things like that. Or Scott Snyder's like, ooh, here's this mythology that you don't even care about, but boom.
You're right. Jeff Lemire is a Brian K. Vaughan for me. Literally dedicated to the craft, dedicated to. It's not just a book for the readers. It's a book for him. It's an outlet for him to tell a story that he's had cooped up in his mind. I think Jeff is willing to stay on as long as the readers want what he's got. I don't think this is a thing that is just for the money making. Again, I think it's important for him. That's his livelihood. He puts in the 8 hours a day. You know, he's got a family, but he's got a job, and that's why he doesn't just do the job at home. He literally goes to the studio to do the work.
And he challenges himself.
And like we've said tonight, and we've said today. Shit, you got me saying tonight. Like we've said today, it's not just a. He doesn't just write a superhero. He doesn't just write a horror book. He writes a hero. He writes the horror. He writes the just book of life. That I think Jeff Lemire is dedicated enough to stay on as long as he has a meaning to do the stories.
And I think if you read that last letter in Royal City, what he explained there is the reason why he's so driven, and the way he can keep putting out these great comics is that he wants to keep exploring different worlds, different things he wants to do. When you look at his staple of work that's coming out right now, right? The Sender that just ended, now coming Ascender, right? Royal City, Black Hammer, Gideon Falls, Terrifics. They're all in different kind of genres, and some of them are non-genre, to show you like he's trying different things, and he's not doing the safe thing. He's not sitting in one thing, be like, this is what I do. He's trying to reach out, and now he has a new book coming out with Phil Hester, brought to you by Wednesday Comics. Phil Hester coming out, and which is super exciting for me, and us, I think. But I mean, like, that's the thing with Jeff, and I think that's why for me and for us, I believe, blind buy for anything he does, is because he will go to a new genre, and it's not the same old Jeff Lemire. It's, hey, Jeff Lemire is doing a space book. He's doing a fantasy book. Jeff Lemire is doing this book, and that's the guy I want to see try to tackle that genre.
I think Jeff, I find, is not a settler. He doesn't just find that genre. He doesn't just find that little niche to live in, or niche, or however you want to say it. I really do think he likes to stretch himself, not thin, but he likes to reach for the stars. He wants to be a Mr. Fantastic and grasp those things he hasn't done before. And he really wants to give that reader, and I think give himself that challenge to enjoy the books he gives. Because it's more than just a simple, funny page like the comics are. It's meant to be a story that, I don't know, like Black Hammer or Royal City or even Gideon Falls kind of makes me think, makes me dig inside and go, wow, that was profound, and that was something that it had heart. It doesn't even need to have the stakes, because the stakes are just a natural born thing for Jeff Lemire to have.
You know what? You're saying he's more Conan than he is Pilgrim, right? He's not a settler. He's a conqueror. Boom. He goes to a genre and says, I'm going to come here.
Only you would bring up that old ass reference.
I'm going to come here, take this over, make this mine, and then move on to the next thing.
All jokes aside, he came to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and he's all out of bubblegum.
Jeff Lemire, fantastic.
You seen that old movie?
They Live. Fantastic Jeff Lemire. I think we're all hyped up on Jeff Lemire. If it came out in a pill.
And monsters.
If it came out on a pill, we all be hooked on it, just like Phonics.
The Jeff.
God, you guys are cliche nation over here.
Wednesday Comics.
I learned from you, Pun Master.
Those aren't cliches.
Puns. Those are cliches.
We're Rat Masters over here. I'm Grandmaster Flash, and he over here is... I
can't wait to hear what my name is.
God, I just forgot his name. Wednesday Comics 605 at gmail.com. Send us an email. Let us know what do you think of those topics and when you thought of this week's books. Let us know where you settle at Wednesday Comics on Twitter, at DC. Oh, you can tweet them too. At Alex Pastrello, at Garot2188, at Marvin_Salguero. Tweet at us and let us know where you fall on that digital fight. If you're on Alex's side or my side, please use that digital medium to contact us. That's the same thing with mail. Do you send letters anymore? No. Email. Quit looking at me. Alex, whenever we have these conversations, I feel like this old man is
dude, okay, so this is literally Tony Stark, Marvin, Captain America, me. I'm stuck in 1940s, and you're trying to live in this broad age of being a dick bag, and I'm just here to bash your face in with the shield.
If you want to know how far me and Alex are in terms of technology, this man owns a record player.
I do,
and
I've used it.
Listen to music on Spotify. That's how far away we are.
I literally look at gift cards that say $30 to Spotify.
Alex
what the fuck is this shit?
Alex has never even attempted to use Spotify.
Nope.
See.
Nope. When I see in the back issues of Realm, hey, listen to this music. Fuck that, not happening. Royal City, listen to these great tunes to read with this sad book. Fuck that, ain't happening.
So you wouldn't even know where to go.
Facebook.com.
What's the Spotify? How do I find it?
Facebook.com/Wednesday Comics Podcast. Like the page and share the page with your friends. Let them know about the magic of WC.
Are your friends only online, like Marvin's 1 million friends, or are they real life friends, like my friends here in this room?
Fuck 1 million friends. I'm talking about 1 billion friends.
Whoa.
No, it's from you ever see Social Network?
A long time ago, like 1940s.
What's that line? Right? He's like, no, fuck $1 million, $1 billion. Wednesday comics were on YouTube. Find us on YouTube and see the Gauntlet that came out earlier this week. Actually, came out on Friday. And make sure you also, if you want to, because Alex, I don't know if you know, you can, if you subscribe to YouTube Red, listen to audio on YouTube too, so you can consume the show on there if you want to too.
I'm not willing to spend money for it.
So share, subscribe, and like our page, and share with your friends and let them know about Wednesday Comics on YouTube. 605-215-1849. Leave us a voicemail. Let us know what you're thinking about. Let us know where you fall on those topics, and we'll talk about it when you bring in. What is it? A book we're missing, right? I keep saying that. Nobody ever shoots us a book. Oh no, there's Sergeant America really wants us to read Aquaman.
Okay,
maybe
I'm going to tell you what. When Aquaman gets rebooted, I will maybe try it. And we're too far in, too many issues in. I'm not.
I want to see a Sergeant America written Aquaman. So you get on that, you get a job at DC, you work your way up to Aquaman. Actually, they probably give you that right away when you walk in.
You want to read? You want that book? You got it,
Sarge. I'll read your name on the cover of that book.
Guys, he wants to do Aquaman. What do you mean when we got a writer lined up? Oh, okay, yeah, you got it. Hey, Garrett, we have a book club.
Wednesday Comics, League of Extraordinary Gentle People, proudly presents Sandman, Preludes and Nocturnes, Volume 1.
This time I did look at you.
Nice. So let's start of the Sandman universe. One of the best vertical series of all time is what I've heard, and we're doing that by October 4th. So that number that Marvin gave you earlier, you can send us voicemails there for
605-215-1849.
Yep, or you can send us an email, or you could even tweet us a little review, or maybe you could do like 6 tweets.
Hey, just tell us you read it. That's all we care about.
If you want a cheap way to read it, Hoopla has all of it, so you can go ahead and go there and read it. Unless you're an old man like Alex, you have to go buy it.
If it helps, to be fair, if it helps, I do buy things on Amazon.
See?
That's a little bit technology, right?
Supercon 2018, Return of the Con. That's September 28th, 29th, and 30th. We'll be there that night of the 28th doing a live show. It'll be more in a game show format, as you will hear pretty soon. A little taste of it. And we'll be having fun. So make sure you buy a weekend pass and join us and join the other events. Go to supercon.com for more information. Rootsoftheswampthing.com, your definitive source of all things Swamp Thing. Follow him on DC World Swampy on Twitter or on Facebook.com/Roots of the Swamp Thing. You can go there and ask at DC World Swampy on Twitter. Ask him if he would say, "Hey, watch out." What did you say? Is that what he says?
Yeah. Hey, watch out. Wonder Woman.
John Boyling would know. He is the definitive person of Swamp Thing. He is. If I ever became any kind of writer and for DC, and they were like, "Hey, you want to do Swamp Thing?" I'm calling up that John Boyling and said, "Hey, you're going to be my consultant in this book." He knows the green.
That would be the best decision DC has ever made. Do it.
That's the thing. Oh, make sure you subscribe to the show. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher Radio.
Alex. A lot of things you just said I don't know.
There's also other things you can subscribe on, but I don't know what they are. That everybody just picks up the show. There's this one weird thing I will see on Twitter. Somebody puts our show on it. I don't know what. Every time I look at it, I go, "Oh, that's weird. We're on that." But I forget what it is every time we come to the show. But it is strange. It's like some sort of like they play like rap and hip hop music, and then they play our show. I don't know why.
Apparently, we're thugging.
They play it like at 7:00 on Fridays. I don't know why, but
cool.
We're on there. So if you listen to this on that avenue, hello, good day.
Hello, everybody.
Well, it's another day, another week. Good show. I think we had some good discussions here. Alex almost killed me, and Garrett would have been a bystander and would have gone on the witness stand, and
he would have chosen to go on this side.
Either decided to beat Alex in his eyes and decided not to talk because he knew he was next, or he would have decided to be a friend and put Alex away for 20 to life. So
yeah, I'd still come visit you every once in a while.
Speaking of Conan the Conqueror, they announced, Well, Conan the Conqueror, Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, is that really the same guy?
Yeah, there's a series of books, and each one's Conan the something. Conan the Destroyer, Conan the Conqueror.
Okay.
They announced that Jason Aaron's taking over that book and is doing that book for Marvel, and it's a Rubik's doing the covers, and Asor is doing the art. And I know Jason Aaron, besides Southern Bastards, which is still great, we've been kind of sour on, but that's a book I think that's Jason Aaron.
I would give it a try because that sounds like something I would enjoy from him.
That's something like his wheelhouse. Goddamn was good, and I feel like when you give him the reins to like do something like that, it'd be great. So I am excited to try that out.
I don't want everyone to think that I hate Jason Aaron. I actually really enjoy it.
I do too, yeah.
But I just think that when you do the work from Marvel or you do something for the big two, I feel like something gets lost from him. And without Dowderman on, if Dowderman was doing Thor right now, I would still be on that book because I know it would look great.
I saw Jason Aaron on Twitter tweeted, it was like when he said thank you for the kind words about me getting this Conan job. He goes, I've been working towards this my whole life, and he showed his bookcase and it was full of Conan books. I was like, yeah, I'll read your Conan.
Yeah,
I'll check it out.
Conan, the Barbarian, the Conqueror, the Destroyer.
Coming in January.
Coming in January. I'm excited for that. For Wednesday Comics, I am Marvin the Conqueror.
I'm just Alex.
I'm Garrett the Badass.
Hey everyone, keep turning those pages.